Super Metroid is easily one of the best games on the Super Nintendo and is another game regarded by some as the greatest video game of all time. The original Metroid is a true classic and is one of the most memorable experiences on the NES. The visuals are dark, the atmosphere is foreboding, and the non-linear gameplay feels way ahead of its time. So you may be surprised to hear that this game almost didn't get a sequel at all. Metroid was developed by Nintendo's R&D 1 division, the team led by the late Gunpei Yokoi, one of Nintendo's greatest innovators, who was the producer of the Donkey Kong arcade game and the lead designer of the Game Boy. Nintendo's R&D 1 division had created some of the most popular games for the NES, including Excitebike, Pinball, Golf, Kid Icarus, Ice Climber, and Duck Hunt, but these were all one-hit wonders and hadn't become big franchises as hits from Nintendo's other divisions had. A small group within Nintendo's R&D 1 division called Team Shikamaru wanted to make a sequel to Metroid. The team was led by Yoshio Sakamoto, a character designer from the original Metroid. Sadly, Metroid just wasn't as popular in Japan as it was in the United States, and Nintendo's corporate leadership wasn't interested in making a sequel. Luckily for Metroid, Nintendo's Game Boy was a massive success. R&D 1 had engineered the Game Boy, and also was spearheading development of games for the handheld. With Game Boys flying off the shelves, Nintendo happily greenlit a Metroid sequel on that system. Metroid 2: The Return of Samus was designed to be a flagship title for the Game Boy, but Sakamoto really wanted to make a true console sequel for Metroid, one with improved visuals and a focus on action in addition to exploration. With renewed interest in the Metroid franchise due to the Game Boy sequel, and with Nintendo planning the release of their 16-bit Super NES, Sakamoto pitched his idea for Metroid 3, and this time Nintendo gave him the thumbs up. Early on, Super Metroid was designed by a core group from R&D 1 that called themselves Deer Force. Deer Force consisted of Sakamoto himself, who was the game's director. Makoto Kano was the game's producer, and had worked as a designer on the previous two Metroids, as well as Kid Icarus and Super Mario Land 2: 6 Golden Coins. The final member of Deer Force was graphic artist Toru Osawa, who had also worked on Kid Icarus. He designed most of the smaller enemies in the game, as well as some of the largest ones, like Kraid. Unlike Metroid 2, which takes place on an entirely different planet, Super Metroid brings heroine Samus Aran back to the planet Zebes where the original took place. The world of the game is much larger this time, and familiar locations from the first game are in ruins. With a greater emphasis on action this time, Samus is much more maneuverable than before. She can now fire her weapon in 8 directions, dash at lightning-fast speeds, bounce off of walls like Strider, and moonwalk like Michael Jackson. But perhaps the most important innovation is the introduction of the auto map. While The Legend of Zelda had this feature from the beginning, the first two Metroid games have no map feature at all, and it's very easy to get lost. In Super Metroid, a map is generated as you explore, so now it's easy to see where you've already been. If Samus can find a map room, she'll be able to download a map of the local area, and it even highlights the location of some items. While veterans of the first two Metroid games may think that this makes exploration too easy, The addition of the map makes navigating the larger world much more feasible. The music was composed by Kenji Yamamoto and Minako Hamano. Kenji Yamamoto had gotten his start for Nintendo composing music for Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!, and he would go on to work on other games in the Metroid series. Minako Hamano would also go on to work on other games in the Metroid series, and in addition to Metroid, she is best known for her work on The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. The music in Super Metroid is mostly subtle and does an excellent job of making each region of the game feel unique. Some parts of the game are eerily silent, while others are punctuated by exciting swells of music. This effect is impressive, even by modern standards. Super Metroid places a greater emphasis on story and picks up directly where the story on the Game Boy ended. Although the game starts off with a decent amount of text recapping the previous two games, most of the story is told wordlessly through actions. Ridley doesn't announce, "Haha, I've stolen the Metroid," but you still know what's going on. While there is a recommended way to approach the game, the world is wide open and very non-linear. If you're a master of Samus's advanced moves, the major bosses can be defeated in any order. Just like the previous Metroid games, there are multiple endings based on how quickly you complete the quest, and the game tells you your final time and item completion percentage. These two stats give the game a ton of replay value as you strive for a better time or 100% completion. So of course Super Metroid was a massive hit when it released in April of 1994. Critics showered the game with praise, and players agreed. Super Metroid was something special. Nintendo backed the game up with a significant marketing effort, and it certainly paid off, selling over 1.4 million copies worldwide. In modern times, the depth and flexibility of Super Metroid make it an ideal game for speedrunning, and to this day, players from around the world still compete to shave precious seconds from their best times. Even more casual players still enjoy the game, and some herald it as the greatest of all time. When IGN released their list of the top Super Nintendo games of all time, they ranked Super Metroid at number 3. If you'd like to play Super Metroid on a modern platform, it is one of the games included on the SNES Classic Mini and with the Switch's online service. Modern players that attempt this game will still have to deal with all of the challenges retro games are notorious for. There are 100 items hidden in the game, many of which are difficult to find. Samus starts out quite weak, so if you don't find some good equipment fast, you can easily be overwhelmed. The bosses have tons of health, so if you're not ready for them, it won't be long before it's game over. But what if I told you how to access every room and where to find all 100 items? What if I told you how to perform secret tricks like the Mockball or the Space-Time Beam? And what if I showed you the best way to defeat every boss? Even Mother Brain herself? Well, on today's episode of You Can Beat Video Games, we'll learn all of that and more. If you're new to the channel, we're doing deep dives on retro video games and giving you the professional strategies that can be used by the casual gamer. Please make sure to subscribe and check out youcanbeatvideogames.com for episode lists, news, and official You Can Beat Video Games merchandise. And please join our Patreon for access to an exclusive Discord community and the chance to vote on future episodes. Let's get started. Alright, Super Metroid. We're going to start up a new game, and I'm going to adjust the controller settings. If you've been playing this game for years and you're already comfortable with a particular control scheme, don't change it now. But if you're looking for suggestions, I like to put shot on Y, jump on B, and dash on A. I'm used to using the select button for item select, but it's less than ideal, so I can see using X for that. And I always use R for angle up and L for angle down. If you have icon cancel on auto, it'll turn off your missiles when you go through doors. And I'm going to turn on moonwalk because we will need it to do a few of the tricks that I'm going to show you. As the game begins,
the last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace.
Oh, thanks, game. As the game begins, we see a cutscene that recaps the events of the previous two Metroid games. If you haven't actually played those games, this first scene could be a bit confusing, as it explains how Samus first battled the Metroids, but then it shows her fighting Mother Brain, who is totally not a Metroid. So just in case you've been living under a rock, the Metroids are vicious, energy-sucking jellyfish monsters, and they were determined to be so dangerous that Samus went on a mission to their homeworld to completely eradicate them. But after destroying the Metroid Queen, Samus spared the life of the last Metroid. Perhaps her maternal instinct got the better of her, or maybe she did it for science. But in any case, she was about to learn a hard lesson. Because here's the thing about not fully completing the mission. When you don't fully complete the mission isn't over. At first, preserving the last Metroid seemed like a good idea. The scientists' findings were astounding. Perhaps its energy-producing capabilities could be harnessed for the good of civilization. But just like nuclear power, in the wrong hands, the Metroid could be used as a terrifying weapon. A single Metroid could quickly multiply and wipe out an entire planet. Samus had only been gone for a few minutes before she picked up a distress signal. Ceres Station was under attack. So our mission begins here at the Ceres Space Colony. This is an introductory part of the game, so there aren't any dangerous enemies here, and there's no items to find either. If you're trying to get the game's best ending, the timer is running as you make your way through the space colony, so do your best not to waste a lot of time here. Bathed in the cool blue light, the colony seems calm and quiet. Too quiet. As we hurry through this chamber, we see the bodies of the station's scientists, and we notice that the capsule containing the Metroid is broken. Oh, there's the Metroid. It looks like we can just pick up the Metroid and be on our way, but it seems that our old friend Ridley was waiting for us. Ridley will continue attacking Samus until she has fewer than 30 points of energy remaining, so the fastest way to get out of this battle is to just actively try to damage Samus until the fight ends. So now that we're at 29 points of energy, Ridley will fly away, and the door on the left will open. Now, if that seems a bit cowardly, there is another way. You can't actually damage Ridley during this fight, but if you can shoot him 100 times, he'll drop the Metroid and leave you alone. If you'd like to attempt this strategy, start out in front of the boss, angle up using the R button, and try to get in a good dozen hits before he even gets moving. If Ridley is spitting fireballs, you can stand up on the ledge on the left side and then drop down after he spits the fireballs to get underneath them. If it looks like Ridley is going to swoop towards you, you can try to jump up into the air, which may manipulate him into flying above Samus, and that's a good opportunity to get some hits in. Alternatively, you can try to do a big jump once Ridley swoops down low, and you may be able to get over the boss. If you see Ridley extend his leg, the most reliable way to jump over him is to get onto the ledge on the left side and then jump over Ridley, which is easier said than done, but it is possible. Keep shooting him and eventually you will hit him 100 times and you'll see him drop that Metroid. There's no real advantage to doing this and it actually will waste a bit of time, but it is very satisfying when he finally drops the Metroid and flies away. At this point, the station's self-destruct mechanism is triggered, and we need to quickly evacuate the colony. If you're wondering why a colony like this would even have a self-destruct mechanism, well, it's a precaution against Samus herself. You see, sometimes Samus just won't leave a place until it is actively exploding and she has to evacuate. Keep that in mind and make sure you have an exit strategy if you plan on inviting Samus to your next birthday party. In this room, everything will start to go sideways, but you just need to make it to the elevator. Once Samus touches the elevator, the timer will be frozen and you'll have escaped. As the colony explodes in the background, we chase Ridley across the vastness of space. If Admiral Akbar were here, he would definitely be saying, "It's a trap," as we approach the planet Zebes, where it all began. Did Ridley fly here in a ship, or is he capable of traveling through space without one? I imagine it would be possible if he turned around backwards and blew fireballs he could kind of propel himself forward, but I definitely have questions. We touch down in a previously unseen part of the planet called Crateria. Before we go running off, if you go back into the ship, we'll have our first opportunity to save the game. In addition to saving the game, the ship can also recharge your energy and refill your ammo, so anytime you happen to be in the area, it may be worth your time to make a pit stop back at the ship. Over here on the right, you'll find a wall that you need the speed booster to break through, and although you can use wall jumps to get over it, you'll eventually come to a door that you need super missiles to open, so instead we're going to make our way over here to the left. Does it seem strange to anyone else that Samus wouldn't bring any missiles with her? At minimum, we know that Ridley is here, and he has a Metroid with him. Well, in any case, make your way to the bottom of this shaft, and when you enter this room, we can do a trick. Samus normally falls slowly, but if you have Moonwalk on, you can make her fall super fast. Hold L and the fire button, take a step backwards, jump, and release L, and you'll notice that Samus falls so quickly here that she actually goes through a platform at the bottom. Right there. Pretty crazy. This trick will only save you a few seconds here and there and is totally optional, but I wanted to show it to you anyways. Make your way to the right across Mother Brain's old room. For now, it's totally vacant, but once we find the Morphing Ball and the first pack of missiles, it'll become a bit more lively. This elevator will take us to a familiar looking part of Brinstar. If we head to the left, we can find our first item, the Morphing Ball. Unfortunately, as soon as we collect the Morphing Ball, Samus is caught by a security camera, which alerts the pirates to her presence. It seems that they put that there as a trap specifically for her, because only Samus would pick up the Morphing Ball. Once you have it, make your way down through this room, and press down to turn into a ball so that you can roll to the left, where you'll be able to find your first pack of missiles. There are 46 missile packs to find in this game, and for each one that you locate, you'll increase your maximum number of missiles by 5. So if you manage to get them all, you'll be able to carry a grand total of 230 missiles. Use the 5 missiles that you just found to open the red door on the right, and over here you'll run into another one of those security cameras, and you'll be able to roll underneath a wall to find a second missile pack. Also in this area is an energy tank that seems to be just out of reach, but if you come back here after you get the bombs, you can use a secret technique called the bomb jump to get it. The easiest way to perform a bomb jump is to use a turbo controller to rapidly place bombs, but it is possible to do by very quickly mashing the button. It's also possible to get that energy tank by doing a very precise wall jump, but that's even more difficult, so I'm not going to assume that everyone has access to a turbo controller or can mash quickly enough to do a bomb jump, so just head back to the elevator and leave that energy tank in the wall for now. As we return to Crateria and go back into Mother Brain's old room, we're ambushed by a squad of space pirates. We need to kill all of the pirates here to make the doors open, but these guys only have 20 health, and our normal gun deals 20 points of damage, so we can kill these pirates in a single shot. We do not need to kill all of the pirates to get out of this room, but we should probably take out most of them because they will get in the way and try to shoot you with lasers as you're climbing up this shaft. If you can get a good angle on the pirates, you can aim up using the R button and shoot at them, or you can simply jump straight up and shoot horizontally at the pirates whenever you get on their level. Watch out when they jump across the room, and when you get to the top of the chamber, shoot through the blue door and jump on out. The enemies that travel along the walls here are called Gamers, and they only have 15 health, so they're easy to remove in a single shot. Use 5 missiles to open the red door on the right, and watch out for the big Rio enemy here. That guy has 45 health, so it'll take 3 shots to get rid of him. Through this door, we'll find our first map room. Simply walk up to the capsule and Samus will connect to it, allowing her to download the map of the local area. Places where we haven't been are blue, and the dots on the map are points of interest. Downloading the map is totally optional, but it will make navigation a bit easier. We're not going to get very far until we find the bombs, so we want to climb to the top of this shaft, and then we're going to head back to the right towards where the ship is. We're not going to go all the way back to the ship, instead we're going to morph into a ball and drop down into this area where we'll find a room that we haven't visited yet. You can just run under these little flies which are known as mellows, but if you're low on energy or missiles, they are a good source of items. Shoot the orb held by this Chozo statue to get the bombs. And then get ready to fight, because it's time for our first real boss battle, the Bomb Torizo. Switch to missiles and angle upwards, and as soon as the boss starts moving, fire as many missiles as you can into its flashing ribcage. When the boss is spitting eggs, you can shoot those eggs and they'll often drop power-ups for you. When the boss is low on health, he'll lose his head, so just keep shooting at that ribcage, and it won't be long until the Bomb Torizo is defeated. Refill your health and missiles, and then head out through the door on the left. Now that we have the bombs, we'll be able to open up some areas of Crateria that we were unable to explore before. Follow this shaft upwards and take the path on the right side, and when you get to the top, you'll see some rocks that you can break using your new bombs. So morph down into a ball and press the fire button to drop a bomb. You can have up to 4 bombs on the screen at a time, 5 if you use the charge beam, and the bombs will deal 30 damage to enemies, which is a bit more than the 20 that your normal gun deals. In this room, we can use our bombs to blow up some rocks and open up the path to another missile upgrade. So while we could use the bombs as a weapon, waiting for them to explode is kinda slow, so for the most part we're just going to use them to open up new paths as we explore. If you place a bomb here and hold to the right, whenever it explodes, you'll bounce up and push through a secret path, which will get you out of that room more quickly. Back here at the main shaft, you can see that this room on the left is marked with an S on the map, and that of course means it's a save room. Saving the game frequently is a good idea. If you waste a lot of time in a particular room or make a major mistake, you could just reset and go back to your last save. Once we get to the top of this area, you can see that there's more over to the left on the map, so to get through this wall, just morph into a ball and place a bomb on it. We're going to find our first energy tank at the bottom of this hill, so I'm going to be a little bit reckless here and just run through these gamer enemies, because whenever we pick up this energy tank, not only will it double our maximum energy, it'll also refill it to the max. You'll be able to find a total of 14 energy tanks in this game, which will bring your total health to about 1500. These green space pirates can't be killed with your regular gun, so either blow them up with your bombs or just roll on through. Take the door on the lower left. This pulsating mass is called a Kago, and it has a ton of health, but the smaller enemies that it releases whenever you shoot it are a good source of items, so feel free to farm those if you need some more stuff, and make your way to this elevator on the left. This elevator will take us to an all-new part of Brinstar that we haven't seen before. You'll find that the Brinstar region is much larger in this game than it was in the original Metroid. Once you touch down here in the main shaft, head down on the left side and go through the first red missile door that you find there. The door seals shut behind us, and we won't be able to go back out to the right until we clear all of the enemies in this room, but you don't have to clear all of the enemies to enter the chamber on the left side, which contains the Brinstar map room. Simply walk up to the capsule to jack into the computer, and you'll be able to download a map that shows most of the rooms in the large Brinstar region. Once you have the map data, head back out to the right, and we do need to clear out the enemies this time. The wall clingers here are called Zelas, and with only 30 hit points, they're pretty easy to remove. The bigger guy is a side hopper, and he has 60 health, so he's a bit more dangerous, but really not that big of a deal. Once all of the enemies are cleared, hop across the main shaft and use your missiles to enter this room. You're supposed to have the speed booster to get past those closing gates, but you can still get this first missile down at the bottom, and if you know how to do a trick called the Mockball, it's possible to get past the gates without the speed booster. The Mockball is difficult to do, so I'm going to show it at full speed and then I'll slow it down and explain it. But it looks like this. You roll very quickly under those gates. You're going to do a running jump from outside of the door, and once you press jump, you're going to continue holding it down and don't let it go. As you transition through the door, let go of run and start holding down, and on the other side of the door, at the peak of your jump, let go of down, and when you get near to the ground, tap down, and then tap down and roll your thumb forward like you're doing a Hadouken. If you do it properly, you'll maintain your speed and you'll be able to roll underneath those gates. This will allow you to get the super missiles early, and you can even skip the next boss. This trick is difficult to perform, so I'm not going to assume that everyone watching this can do a Mockball, but with a little bit of practice, it is definitely possible. Over here on the left, you'll find a save room, which is very convenient if you'd like to practice doing the Mockball. So save your game if you'd like to, and then we're going to head down to the bottom and through the door on the left. This room is lit by enemies called fire fleas. Don't ask me what's lighting up the other rooms in the game, but if you kill too many fire fleas, it will get very dark in here. In this room you can recharge your missiles, so take the opportunity to do that, then head back out to the right into the fire flea room. The fire fleas almost exclusively drop ammo for power bombs, but because we don't have power bombs yet, we'll get some big energy drops from these guys. Make your way over to the right and head straight across through the missile door. This tunnel will connect us to another large part of Brinstar, so roll into a ball and make your way over to the right side, where you'll need to use your bombs to get through this wall. If you had the speed booster or the power bombs, you could use them as well, and later on we'll use the speed booster to access another area below. If you go down in this room, you can get the charge beam, but I don't think we actually need it for the next boss, so we'll save a little bit of time and avoid an unnecessary backtrack by going up to the top first. If you'd like to have the charge beam for the next boss, by all means go and get it now. It doesn't waste a lot of time, I just don't think it's necessary. Save your game and make your way back out to the right. Use your ball form to get through this small tunnel and stay up here at the top. Use 5 missiles to force open the red door on the right, and when you get to the other side, you'll encounter 2 key hunter enemies, and these guys have 60 health, so one shot of your missiles that deal 100 damage can quickly vaporize them. You'll need to get rid of all 3 before you can enter this room, where we'll fight the next boss, Spore Spawn. There's a spot down here in the lower left corner that is mostly safe. Crouch down and angle upwards by pressing the R button, and just keep firing your weapon to clear out any falling spores that get close to Samus. You're waiting for the main part of the boss to open up, and when it does, quickly switch over to missiles and try to fire 2 or 3 into the middle. If you can get 3 hits on the boss, that would deal a total of 300 damage, and you'd be able to take this thing out quite quickly. Once it closes up, get back down into the safe spot and wait for it to open again. As the boss takes damage, it will start to move more quickly, and when it's moving very fast, it may hit you down in the safe spot, but you won't take too many hits down here, so it's still worth staying in that area. You don't really have to worry about running out of missiles against this boss because the falling spores that you'll be clearing will drop a whole bunch of them for you to pick up. So just stay patient down here in the lower left corner, clear the falling spores out of the way, and whenever the boss opens up, let them have it with your missiles, and it won't be long before it explodes and the room turns brown. Now you can jump on top of the boss and use it as a platform to get up and out the top of the room. The Spore Spawn was gating off a room behind it that contains our first pack of super missiles. You'll remember though that if you were able to do the Mockball trick, you can get the super missiles before this, so if you use the Mockball, it's possible to skip past this boss and never fight it at all. Super missiles deal 3 times as much damage as your normal missiles, so they deal 300 instead of 100, and they are required to open up green doors like this one, or to clear some blocks. Super missiles will be needed to open the gates with a green lamp next to them, and a single super missile can open up the red doors that normally take 5 regular missiles to open. In a lot of ways, super missiles make normal missiles feel obsolete, except that you will get way more regular missiles than super missiles, so you'll have a lot more ammo to work with. Down here, we'll pick up the charge beam, and we'll need to come back here later once we have the power bombs to access another area below. Hold down the fire button to charge up a shot, and the charge beam will make whichever beam it's applied to deal 3 times as much damage. It'll also allow you to deal damage to bosses that would not usually take damage from your normal beam. Down here, we're going to do a trick called the wall jump to get a missile pack, and you want to do a spinning jump, and then you need to tap away from the wall whenever you get close to it. So that's a little bit counterintuitive. And then press the jump button. So tap away and then quickly press jump, and that will make Samus push off the wall, and you'll be able to get the missiles up above. If you mess it up, just keep trying until you get it. And down here we'll be able to shoot through this gate, but once we go through the door, we won't be able to come back through on the other side. The small cactus enemies in this room are called Cacatacs, and they have 60 health, which is just the right amount for our charged beam to take them out in a single shot. They also always drop super missiles unless your stock is completely full, and you'll need to run to get across the bridge at the top. Once you get down here, use the super missile to open up the green door, and that will bring us to the red tower. If you're very good at wall jumps or you want to use turbo bomb jumps, you can get to the top of the red tower right now, but to make it a lot easier on ourselves, we're just going to drop down here to the bottom. We'll use a super missile to open up this door that leads to an energy recharge, and then we'll head over to the right on a path that will take us through Maridia and ultimately will lead to Norfair and Kraid's hideout. Samus does not jump very well when she's in the water, so what we need to do here is a running jump. So do a running jump across, watch out for the scree bats, open up the door, and in this room, we're going to do a wall jump right above, and then we'll do one more to get up here. It's actually kind of easy to do the wall jumps when you're in such a tight space. Use a bomb to get through a few blocks, and then a super missile will open up this door, which gives us the Spazer upgrade. The Spazer will split our beam into 3 parts, and it adds 20 damage, so now we deal 40 damage with our normal shot, or 120 with a fully charged one. Drop a few bombs here, which will open up the way down below. Try to stay out of the water. Take out the Cacatac, and there's nothing up here, so just jump across and open the door on the right side. This underwater region is known as Maridia, but we're just passing through for now. We don't have the gravity suit yet, so we don't swim very well, and we just want to open up this door, which leads to the Norfair elevator. We're not going to spend a lot of time here in the fiery region of Norfair on our first trip. We just want to grab a couple of very easy to obtain items, which will make the next boss a lot easier to defeat. So just go all the way to the bottom and use 5 missiles to open up the red door on the left, and you'll find an energy tank. Nice! Once you've picked up that energy tank though, we're not done. Use a bomb to open up a hole below you, and then roll down through this tight tunnel, which will lead us to the high jump boots. The high jump boots are one of the most useful upgrades in the game, and as advertised, they make you jump higher. The next boss that we're about to fight is roughly the size of Godzilla, so we will be very happy to have the high jump boots whenever we face Kraid. Outside of the room where we found the boots, we can pick up another missile pack, and then we can morph into a ball on the right side and bomb back to the beginning of this chamber. However, the door is locked, and the only way to unlock it is to clear all of the enemies in this room. Of course, the only enemy here is a single Sova, so tough challenge, but take him out and then make your way over here to the right, where we'll find a save room. You can take this opportunity to save your game, and then we're done here in Norfair for now, so we're going to head back up to the elevator. The reason that we're not going deeper into Norfair is that many of the rooms are like this one. They're extremely hot, and without the Varia suit, your energy will drop rapidly when you're in them. So that makes it a little bit more difficult to explore. To get the Varia suit, we'll need to defeat Kraid, but Kraid was one of the 4 main bosses of the game, so we needed to defeat him anyways. Conveniently, Kraid's lair is right next to the Norfair elevator. Crouch down and shoot a super missile to the right, and you'll open up the path that leads over here. And this is it. This is Kraid's lair. If you charge up your beam and then turn into a ball, you'll drop 5 bombs. So that's a good way to deploy a bunch of bombs at once. Bomb through this wall and head up through the door at the top. We're about to be attacked by a bunch of key hunters. Use the R button to angle your shots upward and advance slowly. The enemies should jump right into your shots. Bomb down here and make your way across to the right where you'll find a save room. So here's another opportunity to save your game if you didn't save before. And then we're going to head back out to the left. There's another missile pack that you could find in this room, but we're going to need to come back for it later. For now, make your way back to the left and look for a dark depression in the floor. Place a bomb above it and you'll open up a hidden path below. In this room, you'll encounter some green space pirates, and then you'll be shot at from off screen by some thorns. I like to just roll into a ball until I get close enough to Mini Kraid, and then you can hit him with a single super missile. Mini Kraid will often drop a bunch of super missiles for you, so don't worry too much about wasting one there. You'll need to use a super missile to get into this room where you can replenish your energy and your missiles, but it won't refill your super missiles. However, these Zebes that come out of the pipe in this area, they drop lots of different things and they can help refill your super missiles. Use 3 missiles whenever the eye is open to reveal the door. You'll always see one of these eyeball gates before you enter the room containing a major boss. And this time, it's Kraid. If you remember Kraid from the original Metroid, well, let's just say he's a little bit bigger this time. Charge up a shot as Kraid emerges from the ground, and when the hand in front of his face is lowered, shoot him right in the eyes, which will cause him to open the mouth. Then quickly switch over to super missiles and shoot one in his open mouth. That's how you're going to defeat this boss. He only has 1,000 health, so 4 super missiles or 3 super missiles and 1 regular will work. Use a charged shot or a missile on his eyes to make his mouth open, and when the mouth opens up, hit him with the strongest thing you have. Now that's the normal way to defeat Kraid, but it's actually possible to defeat him before he fully emerges from the ground the first time he opens his mouth. So what you want to do is wait for Kraid to come out of the ground, and just like before, you're going to hit him in the face with a charged shot and switch over to missiles, but you want to do it at just the right time. There are 5 positions in the animation for Kraid opening his mouth, and you want to hit him on the 2nd position, which will lock his mouth open. So here's what it looks like in slow motion. Wait, jump right before he opens his mouth, and in that 2nd position, that's where you need to hit him with the first missile, and if you get it, just unload on him with whatever you have. If done correctly, you can defeat Kraid the first time he opens his mouth, and you'll notice that the screen is a little bit messed up because it never went to the top like it would before, but you can just exit and re-enter the room to fix that. Kraid is a pretty impressive boss today, but back when this came out in 1994, he was one of the largest video game bosses we had ever seen. There were some big bosses in Mega Man, but nothing like Kraid. In any case, in the room behind him, you'll be able to finally pick up the Varia suit. The Varia suit not only protects Samus from the heat of Norfair, but it reduces all damage taken by 50%. The Varia suit is an extremely useful upgrade, But if you decide that you want to take more damage for some reason, you can turn it off in the pause menu. Make your way back the way that we came, up through the room with the key hunters, so watch out for those guys. They won't be able to deal us as much damage now. And then we'll head back down through this door, and we're going to find that this room on the left is now open. It looks like a dead end at first, but the map indicates that there's something important here, so use your bombs to take out these B-Tom enemies. And in the ceiling above, you'll find a hidden energy tank. So don't miss that, and then head back out through the door, and we're going to go up and to the left, back to the elevator that leads to Norfair. Don't forget that you're going to need a super missile to get through the wall over on the left side, so crouch down and fire one of those. And then we'll head back to the fiery depths of Norfair. The last time we were here in Norfair, this room on the right near the elevator was very dangerous because we didn't have the Varia suit and we were taking a ton of damage when we were in here. Now that we have the Varia suit, it's totally safe, and we can explore it freely. There's not a whole lot going on in this first room, so we'll just try to get all of the squares on our map, and we'll use 5 missiles to open the door. In this room, however, there is a hidden missile pack. It's over in the 3rd divot, so down here, clear out the enemies, and you'll find it in the lava, so you'll take a little bit of damage when you're getting this one. Just grab it and try to get out of the lava as quickly as possible. The large flying Garuda enemies have 120 hit points, so we're just going to avoid that last one and use a super missile to enter this room. In here we can roll into a ball and quickly get across the bottom until you see the 3rd dragon. That's when you want to jump out of the lava and make your way on the top side. This is the green bubble room. This is one of the major connecting points here in Norfair, and if you head down on the right side, you'll be able to find a missile pack. There's nothing else to find down here in this corner with the missiles, so once you collect those, watch out for the red Ripper enemy, and jump back up the way that you came in. Back in this green bubbly area, over on the left side, there's a door above the one that we came in through, and this leads to a save room. There are 2 ways that we can go from here, a shortcut or the long way. To do the shortcut, open up the door for the save room, do a running jump over to the right, and do 1 or 2 wall jumps to get up over the wall. That will bring you down to this room. Now that can be difficult to do, so if you're not very good at the wall jumps, you can opt to take the longer way instead. To take the longer path, blast straight down through the center of the room and use your bombs to open up the path in this silver pipe area. I like to morph out of bomb form so I can shoot the Sova enemies that attack you here, and once you get to this spot with the 2 doors, take the one that leads downwards. Over on the right side, there's a door that leads to a dead end, but inside there's a spot where gamut enemies are constantly spawning, and if you crouch down and press L to aim your gun at the floor, you can quickly recharge all of your energy and ammo. Below that room is a path that leads to the right, and in here, Magdalite enemies will pop out of the lava. You want to wait until they turn into a hand and then jump over them. If you don't wait, they'll continue to extend out of the lava and you'll get blocked. In here, just cut across to the right, and this room is going to be quickly filling up with lava, so you want to hurry to the right, turn into a ball, and then shoot up through the ground, quickly jumping from ledge to ledge until you get to the top. Blast through the door and head to the left. In here, we're going to wait for a living platform called a tripper, which we can jump on top of and then morph down into a ball to avoid the spikes. Wait for this gate to go back up and then jump across, and there will be another tripper on the other side. ride it across the lava, and take the door on the left. We're going to climb up here, but you want to charge up your guns so that you'll be ready for the red Alcoon enemies that pop up out of the ground. Hit them with a fully charged shot and then follow it up with a few more blasts. And if you want to head over here through this door, you'll have the opportunity to get the wave beam early. You're supposed to have the grapple beam to be able to get the wave beam, but it's certainly possible to get it without the grapple beam. Jump onto this platform known as a kamer, and carefully work your way across. Shoot the blue lamp near that gate to open it up, and you'll be able to pick up a missile pack on the other side. All of that is pretty easy, but from here you want to do a running jump to the right, and you'll probably land down in the spikes. Make sure you jump far enough so that the ground doesn't break out from under you, and you'll be able to do a wall jump or two to get up into this room where you can pick up the wave beam. Doing the wall jumps to get up here can be difficult, and it's very frustrating if you get stuck down in the spikes, so I'm not going to assume that everybody watching this will be able to get the wave beam early, but if you're able to, it is certainly worth your trouble. The wave beam will let you deal more damage, it stacks with your other beams, but even better, it lets you shoot through the wall. So this will give you a tactical advantage against a lot of enemies. Shoot right through the walls, and a lot of them won't be able to touch you. So for now, we're not going to get the wave beam, but if you're able to, make sure to pick it up. And instead, we're going to head up here and go through the door at the top on the left. If you had taken the shortcut earlier, this is where you would have landed, and we want to go up on the right here and use a super missile to get through this door. In this room, aim up and shoot the bats, which are called screes, from far away so that you don't get hit by the acid that they spawn whenever they die. Go through this door, and in this room your instinct will be to quickly run to the right, but if you're going for full map completion, you do need to drop into those two pits. At the very end, you'll want to shoot your gun up through the bubbles, and that will reveal a hidden missile pack. The next time we come into this room, it will be filling with lava, so it's better to get the missiles before you go through this door on the right. Open it up using your missiles, and inside you'll find the speed booster. We could run before, but the speed booster is going to allow Samus to run much faster. In this room, the lava is going to start filling up, and it'll give you a bit of a head start, so you'll see. But once it starts going, it goes fast, so if you mess up, you can always go back through the door on the right. What you need to do here is hold down the run button and quickly get back to the left. With your new speed booster, you should be able to easily outrun the lava, and if you need to refill your health or ammo, there is another one of those spots where gamut enemies are constantly spawning right outside the door. Head down here and go back through the door on the left, and that will bring us back to the green bubble room. Now that we have the speed booster, we'll be able to get the ice beam, and we'll find it back near where the elevator was. There's a shortcut to get back there, so head down through the pipes here in the green bubble room, and when you get to the area with the two doors, this time take the one on the left. Hop across the gap and head over to the left, and in this room we're going to speed booster through all of the blocks, and we'll be able to run right through them. That'll take us back to the save room, and over here to the main shaft of Norfair. There's a green super missile door on the left at the top, so head up through that, and when you get into this room, speed booster to the left, and you'll get under the closing gates. It's possible to get past them using the Mockball trick, but now that we have the speed booster, we can get past them easily. Head across the trippers and through the door on the left side. In this room, we're going to encounter some Phantoon enemies that are attached to the wall, and they'll be spitting blue fireballs at us, but don't go through this door. Instead, you want to morph into a ball and push towards the right as you fall so that you can enter this area where we'll be able to get the ice beam. The ice beam stacks with other beams that you find, so combined with the Spazer, it will deal 60 damage per shot, or 180 if it's charged up. But even better, as you may expect, the ice beam will allow you to freeze enemies, and when they're frozen, they'll either be out of your way, or you can use them as platforms. Frozen enemies won't be able to damage you, so simply freeze them in place and you'll be able to use them to jump over the lava here. That'll bring us back to the room with the gates, and if we bomb this wall, we'll find a shortcut that leads out of here. We'll need to come back to this room after we get the power bombs, but we won't be able to find them here in Norfair. So we'll take the elevator back to Brinstar, and we'll go looking for the power bombs next. At the top of the elevator, we're going to head left, and we're going to cut back through Maridia to the other part of Brinstar. So we'll head through this watery zone. You can use your speed booster to quickly run through here. And when we get over to the left, we'll be back in Brinstar again, right outside of the Red Tower. The last time we were here, the Red Tower was difficult to climb, but now that we have the high jump boots and the ice beam, it's going to be much easier. We're going to freeze the Ripper enemies that are floating in this shaft. If you freeze a Ripper when it's directly above you, it'll be difficult to jump to it. So instead, you want to use the R button to angle upwards and try to shoot the Rippers when they're at a 45-degree angle from Samus. But we're not done climbing just yet. Keep going up past the door that we originally entered this tower through, and continue climbing up past it. Up here we'll find a more narrow shaft, but there are Rippers for us to freeze here just like there were down below. Freeze each Ripper while holding R, and use them as platforms to get up to the top. This room is very dangerous. You don't want to fall into the mouths below, so what you want to do is move slowly to the right and freeze the enemies that come up out of the mouths. So freeze that enemy and then jump across. That'll keep them from constantly spawning. If you fall into a mouth, you'll need to wait for it to stop moving for a moment, and then you'll be able to jump back out. Once you get out here, jump up into the air and shoot downwards to blast through the floor. Go to the bottom of this shaft and use a super missile to get through the green door on the left. In this room, you'll want to use your ice beam to freeze the Botwoon enemies so you can use them as platforms. On the far left side, you'll find the power bombs. There are a total of 10 power bomb upgrades in the game, and you get 5 for each one, so you can have a maximum of 50 power bombs. Use one right away, and you'll find a hidden missile pack behind the wall. Power bombs are required to open the brown doors, and there are some blocks that only they can clear. They can also be used as a weapon, dealing 200 damage, and sometimes they can score multiple hits. You can also use them to do beam combos. Turn off the Spazer and charge up your ice beam while power bombs are equipped, and you'll spend a power bomb, but you'll create the ice shield. Now if you turn off ice and turn back on Spazer, you'll get the Spazer shield instead, which is a little bit different, and I think it's not quite as good as the ice shield. And eventually, when we get the wave beam and the plasma beam, we'll be able to do different power bomb combos with those. The best one is the one that we'll do with the wave beam, which is called the X Factor, and that charge beam power bomb combo is one that we'll actually use on a boss. From here, if we head up and go through this green door on the left, we'll be able to get more ammo for our power bombs. We'll need to use one over here to clear out the ground below, and then you can drop straight through that mouth to find the hidden power bomb. As far as using them as a weapon, the power bombs are kind of slow, but they do deal a lot of damage, so if we use them against these side hoppers, which have 320 health, the 200 damage that the power bombs deal will leave these side hoppers without very many hit points left. Now that we have the power bombs, we can unlock the way to Maridia. There are 2 entrances to Maridia, or 3 if you count this gated area, but that's more of an exit than an entrance. The main way to get into Maridia is to go to the bottom of the red tower, and we'll need to use one of our newly found power bombs to get back into this room with all of the mouths at the bottom. Just like we did before, we're going to freeze the enemies that spawn above the mouths, and we can use them as stepping stones to get across. Once you get through this door, we're going to shoot through the floor, and then drop all the way down to the bottom. The last time we cut through Maridia, we went through a room that was essentially a large glass tube, and that's where we're headed back to now. So drop down to the bottom and go through the door on the right. If you need to refill your health, you can go through the door on the left, get a running start to make it over the water, and open the door over here on the right. Continue across in this room, freezing the enemies so that they don't grab you, and enter the door on the right side, which will take us into Maridia. Open the door on the right, and this is the room that we were looking for. This glass tube can be shattered using a power bomb. Just wait a second, and there it is. Down below here, we'll be able to find a save room, so we'll use 5 missiles to open the red door, and we can save the game inside. Technically, we could do a bit of exploring here in Maridia, but you'll notice the problem right away. Without the gravity suit, controlling Samus in the water is extremely awkward. It's difficult just to jump on these platforms. So instead of going into Maridia right now, which there is a hidden room right above this one, we're going to head over here to the right and take the elevator into Norfair. You can probably already think of a few places where we need to use the power bombs here in Norfair, and one of the first places is a brown door on the left side of the main shaft, which will open up the map room. So use a power bomb to get inside, and then jack into the matrix to download the map. You'll see that Norfair is a very large area, and although we've explored a good bit of it, there's still a lot of uncharted territory left. From the map room, I'm going to place a bomb at the bottom of the main shaft to open up another path, and this is completely optional, but I wanted you to see this room. It's a dead end, but I wanted you to be able to recognize it whenever we approach it from the other side. So now that you've seen that room, we're going to climb back up and we're going to head through the door that led to the ice beam earlier. You need to run to get under the gates, and here's another place where we need to use our power bombs. The little red flies here are called Mellows, and the other enemies are called Small Deskigas. Neither of them are very dangerous, so just work your way to this door on the left, but do not rush through it. In fact, once you get through, push back to the right so that you don't fall off this ledge. What we're going to do is jump so that you can see this enemy below, and then angle down so that you can freeze that Sova, shoot the wall to reveal the missiles, and then jump over to them. It's tricky to do all of this, but if you mess it up, you'll fall down to the bottom of this shaft, and it's very difficult to climb back up. In this tunnel, we can use our speed booster to blast through all of the enemies, and that will take us to this area. Use your super missiles and shoot one downward, and this will take us to another boss, the Crocomire. Unlike most other bosses in this game, the Crocomire has unlimited health, and the only way to kill it is to knock it into the lava pit in the rear of this room. Whenever the Crocomire opens its mouth, it'll be vulnerable to missiles, super missiles, or charged shots from your beam. Whenever you score a hit on the Crocomire, the more damaging that hit would be, the more it will cause the Crocomire to move backwards. At this point in the game, the fastest way to deal damage to the Crocomire is to use super missiles, but we don't have a ton of them, so you'll want to work in regular missiles or charged shots from your beam. Try to hit the boss as soon as it opens its mouth so it doesn't have a chance to move forward. Once it gets all the way onto the bridge at the back of the room, the bridge will give way and the boss will fall into the acid pool, where it will be dramatically killed. We're going to do a trick here called an aerial shine spark. Run until you turn blue, then tap down so that Samus is glowing. Do a spin jump, tap R in mid-air, then hold forward and jump. You will shoot across the room and be able to get the energy tank. You can also get it by using a wall jump. You will have to go through the lava to get back over to the left, but after collecting the energy tank, you should have plenty of health to spare. As you approach the spiked wall on the left side, it sounds like the boss might still be alive, and yes, it is still alive, but not for too much longer. The bones will take one last leap towards Samus, and then we'll have the opportunity to collect some items. Once you've picked up whatever you need, make your way through the door on the left. If you need to restock your supplies, there's one of those spots where gamut enemies constantly spawns down here, and over on the right side you can open up a save room. So we'll quickly save the game, and then we're going to head across the bottom to the left. Down here in the depths of Norfair, we're going to be able to find the Grapple beam, which will allow Samus to grab onto those weird blocks that have sort of like plus signs on them. You've probably seen some of those around. Use 5 missiles to open up this red door, and you'll want to wait for the lava at the bottom to recede a bit before you move forward, and then hurry across to the right where you'll be able to find a missile pack. Once you have the missile pack, there's nothing else over on this side, so you can work your way back to the left. Watch out for the lava at the bottom though. We may have the Varia suit, but that lava was able to damage a Crocomire, which is a native species to this area, so Samus is definitely not safe from it. Those blue orbs are called violas, and there were violas in the first Metroid game, but I don't remember them having faces. Down here, we'll use a power bomb to clear out the debris, and then we can charge up a shine spark, jump over to the left, and launch Samus directly up if you want to get some missiles. There's another way to get those missiles though. Instead, we can just run and do a big running jump over to the left, and that will bring us to this room where we'll find the grappling beam. You'll select the grappling beam just like you would select missiles. It's one of the icons at the top of the screen, and you'll fire it just like you would fire your gun. Once you've grabbed onto something, make sure to hold down the fire button or you'll release the grapple. You'll often want to use the R button to angle upwards to try to grab these ripper enemies. It's difficult to use the grappling beam to get across to where these missiles are. I actually recommend just using the shine spark. We can do a little bomb jump and then take a shortcut down to the bottom here. And I'm going to go over here to the left corner. There's nothing over here, but I am trying to complete the entire map. If you don't care about completing the entire map, don't worry about going over there. And instead, we're going to use our power bombs to clear out the debris in this area again. Make sure to do it right underneath the door so that you get it all. And then we're going to use our speed booster and jump at the end of the ramp to get up to the ledge where the door is. Now we're going to work our way up the left side of the map. There are no items hidden over here, but this will be a good opportunity to get some practice with the grappling beam. Use the R button to angle your gun upwards, grab up onto those grappling blocks, and then release to launch Samus across to the right. Up here you're going to jump straight up and you'll be able to grab onto another grappling block, and then just keep tapping in one direction to build up a bit of momentum, and then you'll be able to swing over to the right. Down here at the bottom of this watery pool, you'll find another one of those places where gamut enemies spawn, so if you need some more ammo, you can get some down there. And then we'll be able to go across using our grappling beam, but if you're trying to complete the map, you do need to go to the bottom of that area first. So swing over here, use your super missiles to open this gate, and that will take us back over here, which will bring us to letter S on the map. We can use our grappling beam in this room to swing from the Ripper enemy at the top over to the ledge on the left side. Open up the red missile door, and inside, we'll be able to get another pack of power bombs. I do want to point out that you don't actually need the grappling beam to get up here. Instead, if you get a running start from the bottom, you can just do a big jump and get up there with no problem. So just start out here, jump up to the left, and that's all that it takes. So if you don't like grappling from the Rippers, you can try that method instead. And once you have the power bombs, exit back out through this door. This will take you to the Crocomire room, where we'll see the Crocomire's skull, and if you didn't get the energy tank on the right side, you can use the grappling beam to get it now. Up above these cack attacks on the right, you'll find a save room, so we'll take this opportunity to save our game. And then if you go to the very top of this shaft and head to the left, we'll find a large open room that will take us back to the main shaft of Norfair. We don't actually want to go back there, but there is a missile pack that we'd like to collect. So we'll head up to the top and head over to the left using our grappling beam. And here's that missile pack, and you may remember this area from earlier when we approached this room from the other side. We're not going to go through the gate now, we're just going to go down to the bottom so that we can hit the other squares of this map, and then we'll go underneath this ledge and back out through the door. If you already collected the wave beam earlier, you may want to go through that gate and make your way back out of Norfair, but since we did not collect the wave beam earlier, we're going to go through this tunnel and head over there now. If you've taken any damage, you'll be able to recharge your health here. So we'll stop and do that very quickly, and then we'll go through the door on the right side. This room has a lot of lava and spikes at the bottom, but we have the grappling beam. Just hold the R button and keep pressing the fire button to quickly grapple across. In this room that's not on the map, you can open the gate, and that will bring us over here to a path that should look familiar. We've definitely been in this room before that fills up with lava from the bottom, so hurry across to the right, shoot up through the floor, and quickly jump from ledge to ledge until you get to the door in the upper left. This door will bring us back through this room that has the trippers that we need to ride. Don't forget to morph into a ball while you're on the tripper so that you get under the lowest spike. Wait for this gate to open, jump across to the left, and then ride on one more tripper that will take us over to the door. Watch out for the Alcoon dragon monsters that pop out of the ground here. Shoot them with your ice beam, and we're going to go in this lower door because just like in the area where we got the last power bombs, you can get a running start and just jump up to the last platform and skip jumping all of those platforms in between. After collecting this missile pack, we'll use our grappling beam to quickly get across to the upper ledge on the right side, where we'll use 5 missiles to open up the red door, and inside, we'll finally get the wave beam. The wave beam stacks with our ice, Spazer, and charge beams to deal 100 damage uncharged or 300 damage charged. We'll drop down to the bottom of this room to get a few more squares on our map, and then we'll go out through the door on the left. Of course, the most important thing about the wave beam is it allows Samus to shoot through walls, which not only gives you a tactical advantage against enemies, but you can also use it to open those gates that have a blue lamp on them from either side. You'll still need to be on the appropriate side to open up the green ones that you need to use super missiles to get through. And we'll need to use a super missile to open this green door that we can reach with our grapple beam. Over here we'll find a missile pack, but that's not all. After collecting the missile pack, jump to the left and shoot downwards to trigger a post to come up out of the lava. Try not to get stuck in it like I did there, and morph into a ball at the top of the post so you can bomb through the wall where you'll find a hidden passage on the left. In this room, freeze the dragon enemies and take out the sovas, and work your way across to the left side. This is where we'll find our first reserve tank. Don't get too excited about collecting the reserve tank that you missed the missile pack, which is also hidden nearby. So make sure to pick that up as well. A reserve tank is an extra tank of energy that will fill up whenever you have full health and you pick up more energy items. It works sort of like the sub-tanks in Mega Man X. You can set it to auto so that if you're about to die, any reserve tank energy that you have will automatically be applied to your health, or you can change it to manual so that you'll only get your reserve tank energy when you select it from the pause menu. If you use a power bomb, you'll be able to drop down through the green bubble room, and we'll be able to take a shortcut through this room back to the main shaft. We're still not totally done with Norfair, but we are going to leave it behind for now, because with the grappling beam, we'll be able to find the X-ray beam in Brinstar, and we'll also be able to get into the wrecked ship, where we'll finally be able to get the gravity suit. So as we've done many times before, we'll take the elevator back up to Brinstar, and then we'll cut through Maridia to get back to the other part of Brinstar. Don't forget that we blew up that glass tube, so we'll need to jump to a lower platform and then across to the left to get across there. And we'll be back to this room that connects us to the red tower. There's one area of the red tower that we haven't been to yet, and that's where we're going to find the X-ray scope. The X-ray scope is a completely optional item, but it is handy to be able to look through walls, and we will need it to be able to do several secret tricks. Place a power bomb here to open up the door on the left, and make your way through. This is another one of those fire flea rooms, and it's the largest one we've been in yet. There's a lot of spikes in this area, so we don't want it to get too dark. Instead, try to just freeze the fire fleas and keep them alive as you work your way to the left. Eventually, you'll need to use your grappling beam. Grapple across the ceiling and watch out for the enemies below that will try to pull you down into the spikes. When you get to the far left side, use 5 missiles to open up the red door, and then shoot downwards to move that post up to the top, and you'll be allowed to roll over to the left, where you can collect the X-ray scope. To use the X-ray scope, select it at the top of the screen, and then press and hold the dash button, which is a little bit counterintuitive, but that's just how it works. You can see that there's a rock that we can bomb over here on the left side. So remove it and just roll down through the passages back to the door that you entered through. There's a difficult trick that you can do with the X-ray scope called the X-ray climb that's not extremely useful, but it is very interesting. The hard part is you need to get stuck in a door, and to do it you need to do something like this. Here's what it looks like. I'm going to show you again in slow motion how to get stuck in the door. So what you need to do is open the door first, charge up a shine spark, and then you're going to back into the door while holding R, turn around when you're almost through, and then you're going to do a spin jump to the right, tap to the right, and you should go through the door. Now you're going to be holding right and jump as you go through the door transition, and if you do it correctly, you should do your shine spark attack as soon as you get through and get stuck in the door. Make sure that your morphing ball is turned off, and now we're going to do the X-ray climb. Face towards the door, crouch down, activate the scope, turn to the left, and then you're going to turn back to the right and let go of the scope at the same time. If you do it correctly, Samus will move up slightly through the wall. Now you want to keep doing that until you're pretty deep into the wall, at which point you can start doing it on both sides, which is a lot faster. So you just turn the scope on and then tap the other direction and release the scope. You should be able to work your way all the way up through the top of the screen, and eventually Samus will wrap back around to the bottom. Now doing this is probably going to get you stuck in the wall, so you want to save the game before you do this. You'll almost certainly need to reset afterwards. But what's really interesting about it is if you look at the map, you'll notice that Samus is in an area that's completely out of bounds right now. It looks like she's on the screen, but the game thinks that she's somewhere else. The reason that we unequipped the morphing ball is because if you turn on the morphing ball, if you morph into a ball accidentally while you're in the wall, you'll get stuck in ball form and you won't be able to continue the X-ray climb. So that's how that trick works. There's not a lot of practical applications for it. Most of them involve you controlling Samus while she's off the screen, which is extremely difficult to do. But that's how you do the trick in the most basic sense. Once you have the X-ray scope, make your way back to the right. If you do happen to kill a lot of the fire fleas in this room, you could use your new X-ray scope to shine a light on the area, which will let you see in the dark. You'll still have to turn it off to make your moves, but at least you'll know where you're jumping to. The next place that we want to go to is an area called the Wrecked Ship, and that's where we're going to find that gravity suit. The fastest way to get to the Wrecked Ship from here is to go all the way to the top of the Red Tower, and you'll find an elevator that leads back to Crateria. Remember to use the R button to angle upwards so that you can freeze those rippers in a convenient place to jump on them, and take your time as you go through this room so that you don't fall down into the mouths below, which will do you a bunch of damage and will frustratingly trap you for a moment while they bite you. So you don't want that. Just freeze the enemies and work your way across to the right. Now we're going to go to the top of this shaft, and that's where we're going to find the elevator. So just work your way up to the top, and there it is. Onward to Crateria. This elevator is going to take us to a part of Crateria that we haven't been to yet, and we'll need to use a power bomb to get out of this room. So use a power bomb and exit through the door at the top. And this looks like good old Crateria, but we haven't been over here before. You'll be able to blast your way upwards through the ground here, and there's a few key hunters in this room. The way that we need to go is to the right, but we're going to head back to the left first, because this will take us back to the ship. And whenever we're near the ship, we should take this opportunity to save our game, and we'll also be able to refill our health and all of our ammo, which is awesome. Going back to the ship is the most complete recharge that's offered anywhere. There's nowhere else in the game where you can quickly refill your power bombs and your super missiles. Use a super missile to get back through this green door, and we'll return to this room where we can go through the right side this time, and that will take us on the path to the wrecked ship. Use another power bomb to get through this door, and in this next room we'll be able to find a missile pack. Angle up and shoot across using your grappling beam. The blocks that look broken will only support your weight for a short time, so don't try to grapple to them for very long. If you do fall down into the water on this side, you can use a bomb on this block to get back over to the left. Then you can get back up out of the water and use your grappling beam to hopefully cross properly this time. Out here is another wide open room, although it's not raining out here like it is near the ship. Try to stay out of the water, we don't have the gravity suit yet, and use your grappling beam to get across to the right. I'm trying to complete the map here, so I'm going to use the grappling beam to get as many of the map squares as possible. Once you get over here, we'll need to grapple onto a ripper to make the last jump that we need to get over to the right side. And we won't need the grappling beam anymore. Just carefully work your way to this ledge and use a super missile to get through the door. When we first get to the wrecked ship, the power has been completely cut off. In fact, if you go across into the save room, you won't be able to save the game because there's no power here. We won't be able to restore the power until we defeat the boss of this area, a monster called Phantoon, but we do want to use our bombs on this wall because it's much easier to collect the missile pack over here on the left before the power has been turned back on. Once you've picked up this pack of missiles, there's not a lot more you can do here in the wrecked ship until you've defeated Phantoon, so work your way back the way that you came, and we're going to go all the way to the bottom. Bomb your way through the ground here and continue to work your way to the bottom. The ghosts that pop up are called caverns, and they have 300 health, so your best bet is to just try to avoid those guys. Down here, you just want to make your way to the right. There's a map room on the left side, but you won't be able to use it until the power's back on. Shoot open the eye door and get ready for the next boss. It's time to face Phantoon. Phantoon is one of the more difficult bosses in the game. You want to start out by charging up your beam just in case he opens his eye at the very beginning of the fight. He didn't do it this time, so we're going to do our normal pattern. Just shoot across the room to clear out as many of the blue flames as possible, and watch for Phantoon to slow down because that may be him signaling that he's about to open his eye. When he opens the eye, try to shoot him with 2 missiles, then 2 more missiles, and then shoot him with as many missiles as you can. Super missiles deal double damage to Phantoon, but using them is a trap. If you hit him with a super missile and he doesn't die, he'll go to the top of the screen like this for 18 seconds and just rain fireballs down on you. During this time, Phantoon cannot be damaged. If you shoot Phantoon with a charged shot from your beam, he'll disappear right away and go back to dropping fireballs on you, so that's also less than ideal. So the best way to deal with them is to try to do the 2 missiles, 2 missiles, then as many missiles as you can strategy. By doing that, you'll deal 500 plus damage to Phantoon every time he opens his eye, and you'll be able to take him out rather quickly. If you miss completely, Phantoon will disappear, but he'll reappear again with a bunch of blue fireballs, but the eye will be open and you'll have another shot at hitting him. If you think he's almost dead, you can finish him off using a super missile, but don't use a super missile unless you're sure it will be the killing blow. Once Phantoon is out of the way, collect any items that you need, and you'll see that the power has been restored, and now we can fully explore the wrecked ship. Place a bomb to clear the way, and then head over to the far left side. That's where we're going to find the map room. And now that Phantoon isn't sucking all of the energy out of this place, we can finally connect to the computer and download the map data. You'll notice that the wrecked ship is a small area, perhaps the smallest in the game, so there won't be too much to find here. Once you have the map data, make your way back out of the room, take out any floating atomics that are in your way, and blast up through the door at the top. Now we're going to clear out some debris and continue to work our way up. Use a bomb to bounce up here, and head over to the left into this room, where we'll be able to collect some super missiles. You really can't have too many super missiles, so those are always a good find. Once you've picked them up, go back out through the door, and across the way we can use a bomb to open up a hidden path. So bomb your way through to the right, and open the door on the other side. The green enemies in this room are called bulls, and they almost always drop power bombs, so that happens to be a very effective way of dealing with them. If we had come into this room before fighting Phantoon, that robot would be blocking this path to the super missile, and we wouldn't be able to get it. Now that he's up and moving, we'll be able to blow open the path behind him. We'll collect our loot and head back out. The conveyor belts on the ground here are going in different directions, so don't let that mess you up. And head back out through the door. Just as we did when we came in, we need to use some bombs to open up the path through, and then we're going to continue to work our way upwards. If you need to save the game, you can go to the save room, which is right above that flashing door, and we'll take this opportunity to use it now that it's online. We're going to want to have the gravity suit to explore the area in the flashing door below this one, so we'll skip that area for now and continue to work our way to the top. Up here you can blast through the ceiling, so clear out all of that debris and just keep on going up. As we pass through the door at the top of this shelf, we're going to be in a room where we have to clear all of the enemies to get out. These key hunters have 360 health, and our power bombs only deal 200 damage per hit, but if you place a power bomb close enough, you can get 2 hits, and that will clear most of the key hunters with a single bomb. You do need to kill the atomics in this room as well, so I like to work my way to one side of the room, clear out all of the enemies, and then head back over to the other side. Watch out for the green electrical drips that come out of some of the objects here. Those can damage you. And once everything is clear, you can head over to this room, where we're going to keep shooting these robots until they fall into the spiky gaps. So push the robots back by shooting them, and then we'll be able to use them as platforms to get over to this area where the missiles are. So just keep blasting the robots, grab the missiles, and that's the only thing over here on this side. So once you have them, we're going to head back out. It'll be very easy to get back out the way that we came. The conveyor belts are moving with us this time, and the robots are already down in the holes. We need to clear out the atomics and the key hunters again in this room to be able to open the door on the left side. So go ahead and do that. Use charged shots from your beam, or use the power bombs whenever you can group multiple enemies on the screen at once, and you should be able to get through this quite easily. And once all of the enemies are defeated, we'll be able to open up the door over on the left side. You'll see that it's flashing, and that's going to take us back outside to Crateria. We're back in the wide open part of Crateria outside of the wrecked ship, but we're in the top part of that room now. If you go down below, you'll find another door directly below the one that we exited the wrecked ship from, and this one leads to a dead end, although if you're interested in completing the entire map, you will need to head over here. Notice that down below there's a hidden reserve tank, but we won't be able to access it from up here. Back outside, there are two fairly well hidden missile packs in this part of Crateria. As we jump through the air over here to the left, you'll notice some trippers floating around, and they will carry you up to one of the missile packs, but before we do that, use a super missile by firing it downwards here, and you will open up a path to this missile pack on the left. Do not roll too quickly to the right after collecting this missile. You don't want to fall down below. Instead, pop up here, wait for the block to respawn on the right, shoot it out, then jump high up in the air, double tap down in mid-air to morph into a ball, and then hold right to roll over. Then you'll be able to head back up here, and if you need some help getting onto the tripper, you can just freeze it. So freeze the tripper in a good spot, and then we can wait for it to unfreeze, and this one's going to carry us over to the right, but we're looking for another tripper above us, this one, that's headed to the left. Once we get close to the wall, shoot to reveal the missile, and once you're touching the wall, you may need to tap down to crouch to actually collect it. Once you have that missile pack, you may have noticed that there's some unexplored space in the middle of the map, and you can bomb down into this area to find a hidden door. There's also a nest right outside of it where Zeb monsters continuously spawn, and these guys can drop any type of ammo as well as energy, so that's a good place to refill if you're low on anything. In this water-filled room, you'll see some monsters that are flying through called wavers, and the ones that pop up out of the water that kind of look like floating pancakes are called chutes. Pass through, and on the other side, we'll go back into the wrecked ship. We could probably survive just hopping across the spikes in this room, but we have the grappling beam, so we'll take the safe path across the top. Hold the R button to angle up, and that will make it easier to grapple. When you reach this Chozo statue, stand on its hands and morph into a ball. It will grip Samus and suddenly come to life, and it will break through the spikes, revealing a new path. The path that the Chozo statue opens up will take us exactly where we wanted to go. The gravity suit can be found in the room on the left. But before we go in there, there's a couple more items that we want to grab on the right side first. Remember that reserve tank that we saw before? We definitely want to collect that. So roll down here, clear through the blocks, and head over to this area with the robots. Knock all of the robots into the gaps and then grab the missiles on the right side. But that's not the only thing to find over here. If you use a power bomb, you'll clear away this Chozo statue, revealing a hidden area behind the wall, and if you dash on this backwards moving conveyor belt, it'll be pretty easy to charge up a shine spark, which can launch you up to the top. Now don't step off to the left, you need to jump across here, and I like to do a bit of a running jump to make sure that I get across. And that's where we'll find our third reserve tank. There are a total of 4 reserve tanks hidden in this game, so now we have half of them. They each hold 100 points of energy, so if you get them all, you can store up to 400 points. And in this room over on the left, we'll find the gravity suit. The gravity suit doesn't just allow Samus to maneuver freely under the water, it's also armor, and when stacked with the Varia suit, will prevent 75% of all damage dealt to Samus. Let's try out the swimming ability now. You can see that we can now freely dash in the water, and over here on the left side, we'll find a hidden passage with a missile pack. So you can see with the gravity suit on, it's as if the water isn't there at all. Once you have those missiles, we're going to go back into the wrecked ship. There's only one more item to find in there, but there's also a path that leads to the back entrance of Maridia, and that's where we were going to go next. So we'll head through this door on the right, and we're going to enter the flashing door below the save room. So we'll head through here, and this room is filled with water. You can easily just jump out of the water now that we have the gravity suit, and we'll head over to the right. These platforms will carry you up to the spikes. You can wait on them when they're too high up to jump, but just make sure you're in ball form so that you don't get hit by the spikes at the top. Once they're low enough, you'll be able to easily jump across to the right. In this area, we're going to work our way to the top, and you'll find a hidden path in the ceiling. Work your way up to this red door and open it with 5 missiles. This room is completely flooded. You can use your grappling beam here to help you get across, but basically you want to wait for these platforms to dip down into the water and then jump over to the next one. So once they get into the water, jump over to the next and use your grappling beam at the end to get over to the energy tank. I'm going to drop down here. There's nothing to find in the bottom of this room, but if you're interested in completing the entire map, that's just something you'll have to do. Hop up here and go back out through the door that we entered from. We've now officially collected all of the items in the wrecked ship, so we can take this door out into Crateria. This part of Crateria is filled with water, and it's totally detached from the rest of the region. This room is a large rectangle, and the fish in here are called Skullteras. Skullteras have 300 health, so either hit them with a fully charged blast of your beam, or just simply try to avoid them. You'll find the door in the upper right corner of the room, and that will lead you to a large vertical shaft that will take us down closer to Maridia. So we'll quickly drop down here. There's a few enemies in here, but they are very easy to avoid. If you're in ball form, you can get through even more quickly. And in this room, it's a bit of a maze, but there's actually a very fast way to get through it down here in the water. The crab enemies are called Caesars, so shoot those whenever you see them. And down here is where you're going to find that hidden path. So it's right in this spot. Place a bomb and just jump up through and walk over to the left. That's going to get you to the door. If you need to explore the rest of the room, you can, and you can see how this one can be a little bit confusing. But just take that lower path and that will get you through quite easily. And over in this room, we're going to find one more door. They really wanted to make sure that you had power bombs before you got into Maridia. So open that door up with a power bomb, and you'll find the elevator we've been looking for. Of course, as soon as we get to Maridia, we went through all of that trouble to get the gravity suit, and we find ourselves in an area that doesn't have any water. Don't worry. We're definitely going to need the gravity suit here, and if you'd like to take an opportunity to save the game, use 5 missiles on this red door and you'll find a save room behind it. From here, we're going to work our way back to the main entrance of Maridia, near where that glass tube was that we exploded with a power bomb. We'll head through this door, and in this room, if you morph into a ball, you can very quickly roll through the watery parts and avoid most of the enemies. You can do the same thing over here on the left side, and that will lead you to a door with a small room containing some quicksand. If you hop over the quicksand, you can get to Area C on the map, but if you were to linger too long in that quicksand, or if you get grabbed by a yapping maw enemy, you'll get pulled down into this room, and that will take you down below. You won't be able to get into the room on the right yet, but if we go through this door on the left, that's going to take us to D on the map, and you'll see that C and D are very closely connected, so it's not that big of a deal if you get pulled into the quicksand at this point. We won't be able to get the plasma beam until we defeat the boss of this region, so stay over here on the left and use a super missile to open this green door, which will take you through this long pipe and bring you down to this area, which is marked F on the map. You can use your bombs to open the way here, and we're going to take this door to the left. The waterfalls in this room will push you downward when you're jumping, so the easiest way to get across is to freeze the Ever enemies that you see here and use them as stepping stones. If you do fall down into the sand below, make sure that you're not under a waterfall when you try to jump out. Head over to the door on the left, and that's going to take us back near the main entrance. This room with the broken glass is the key. If you went to the left there, you would reach a gate that you can't pass through, but there's a hidden passage through the floor that leads down here to the map room. Once you've downloaded the map, you'll be able to see that Maridia is a very large region, and there's a good bit left for us to explore. Head back out to the left, cut across this room, and in here you're going to encounter some enemies called Boyons. You want to aim downward and freeze them. That will keep them out of your way. Those guys look a lot like the X-parasites from Metroid Fusion. Use your super missile to open the green gate and work your way over to this familiar room that we've been through many times. Over on the left side, we'll find the room where we blew up the glass tunnel. Hop up through this door and you'll be in a tall vertical room where there's a missile pack that is quite tricky to get. While it is possible to charge up a shine spark in a very small space, that is very difficult to do. So instead, we're going to go into this room where we'll have a lot more runway to work with. Clear out any enemies that are in your way and head over to the right side. We're going to dash to the left and tap down near the gate to charge the shine spark. Then hold left as you go through the door. Walk down here and you're going to hold up and jump near a little bit of wavy grass that marks the exact spot where you need to do the shine spark. If you do it correctly, you'll be able to get that missile pack. To be completely honest, that missile pack may not be worth the trouble that it takes to get it, but if you're interested in 100% item completion, you do need to pick it up. From here, make your way to the door at the top. You may notice some super missiles in the wall on the right. Don't worry about those for now. You won't be able to get them from this room, and we'll be picking them up later. This large chamber connects to several other parts of Maridia, and the easiest way to get across it is to use your grappling beam. There's a door at the top here. This is going to take us to the exit from Maridia that leads us back to the red tower in Brinstar. There's a hidden passage over here in the wall on the left. Use a bomb to bounce up there with a ball. And over here you'll see that there's a gate that can only be opened from this side. So don't go too far from this gate if you want to be able to get back into Maridia. Once you go through another door, it will close and you won't be able to come back through. So we're not going to do that for now, and we're going to head back into Maridia and go back through the door into the large room that we were grappling across. Angle upwards using the R button so that you can hit the grapple points, and get a little bit of momentum before you swing to the next one. You'll want to press down to stretch out the grapple beam, and then keep tapping the same direction right or left to get Samus swinging around. If you do fall down below, you can latch on to this floating fish. This fish is called a POW amp, and it will lift you upwards as you're grappled onto it. Use it if you fall way down below to get back up to the grapple blocks. Once you're up on this set, you can use this one, and then probably the most difficult grapple is the one from here to here. If you mess that one up, there is an easier way to do it. Just get a running start from down here and jump straight up, and you'll be able to catch on to the farthest grapple block onto the right, and then easily whip yourself over to the door. If we head up through this room, we'll be able to find several more ammo upgrades. So go up through this door, and once you get up here, we're going to go through the wall on the right side, and we'll find our first missile pack over here. There's actually nothing else over here on the right side, but if you are interested in completing the entire map, you will have to hop over there quickly. So we'll just quickly go past these chute enemies, we'll freeze them along the way so that they're not going to bother us, and we'll quickly drop down to the bottom there, which will finish that bit of the map, and then we can go back to doing something more useful. Over here on the left, we're going to find 2 more ammo upgrades, so open this door and make your way into this room. Quickly pass through this chamber, and just continue to the left. You'll need to morph into a ball to get through this tight space, and then you can go right through the wall here. Just walk through the wall, that is not a dead end, and we'll head up through this door, which will take us to the treasure room. In here, there's a hole where some Zeb enemies emerge, so if you want to recharge your ammo, you can do it there, but down below, we're going to find a missile pack and a super missile pack, so you definitely don't want to miss out on this. Once you've found these ammo upgrades, there's nothing else to get over here, so we're just going to head back the way that we came, over to the purple pipe room. So just jump back through, watch out for the constantly spawning Zebes, and we'll head through the door. On the other side of the door, we're just going to drop down and go through the wall. The wall is just an illusion. And we'll go through that tight passage, take out any menus that get in the way, and we'll be back through the door in no time. We'll just drop straight down, and that's going to take us back to that purple pipe room, and this time we're going to go down to the bottom, and we're going to bomb our way through. So use a bomb right in the middle, and that will take you down to this hidden area, and we'll need to use a super missile to open the door on the right. You'll want to get familiar with this icy cold room because we're going to be passing through this one quite a bit. Use a power bomb to get down to the bottom, and you can open up the save room on the left side by using missiles. I'm not going to save right now, instead we're going to charge up a shine spark, and you want to blast up through the ceiling where you'll find a missile pack, and you'll also find some super missiles over to the right. Just don't fall through the floor. There's a trap right there, so you want to jump over it, and that will get you to the super missiles. Once you've picked up the items in here, there are several ways to get through this room, and some of them are better than others. The first way, and the most obvious, is to just use the grappling beam, and you can jump up through a hidden part of the wall here so that you don't have to use the grapple points in the middle of the room, which are kind of annoying to climb with. So instead of using those horizontal grapple points, just use the ones at the top of the room and grapple your way over to the left, where you'll find the door. Wait, are those Metroids? No, those are Mocktroids. They're a less dangerous creature that has just evolved to look like a Metroid to scare away predators. Break out the blocks on the left so you have enough runway to speed boost through the wall on the right. Now we're going to unequip Ice and Spazer so that we can use a power bomb combo on the next boss, a dragon called Botwoon. Equip power bombs, stand directly under the hole on the left, wait for the boss music to start playing, then charge up the X Factor and jump directly over the hole. Hopefully you'll hit Botwoon with all 4 parts of the X Factor, and then you can switch over to super missiles to finish him off. Even if you don't hit him with the full 4 shots of the X Factor, you can still defeat the boss pretty quickly if you only hit him with 2 or 3 particles. And that's it. Botwoon is really that easy. Watch out for the Puyo enemies that try to jump at you when you get into this room. If you run fast enough, they'll just jump over you. If you want to complete the entire map, you need to go through this room several times to go through both Quicksand tunnels. There's 2 of them. So that was the first one on the left, which takes you down here. And now we're going to go back into the cold purple room that I said would be passing through several times. And this time, instead of using the grapple beam to get to the top, we're just going to use a shine spark. So charge up a shine spark, launch yourself up here, and then hold to the left. And that's probably the easiest way to get through that room. I'd say that's easier than grappling across, assuming that you're any good at doing a shine spark. Once again, we'll clear out some space to the left so that we can speed boost to the right, and this time we won't have to face Botwoon because we've already defeated it. So one more time we're going to run under the Puyos, and this time I'm going to go to the Quicksand pit on the right side, which is very similar to the one on the left, but it does occupy its own square on the map, and I could not figure out a way to get both squares at the same time. That'll take you back down here to the same room, and we'll head back out into the cold purple room once more. If you don't like using the grapple beam or the shine spark, there is one other way to get through this room. Position yourself on the left, pause the game, and right before it fades out, you want to press the jump button. Now turn off the gravity suit and unpause holding the jump button, and if you did it just perfectly, you'll shoot up to the top of the screen, and you'll be able to hold left and drift over to where the door is. The reason that trick works is because when we started the jump, we were wearing the gravity suit, so we have normal upward momentum, but whenever you turn off the gravity suit, the game restores Samus's water physics, which makes her lighter, and the combination of a lighter Samus with the normal momentum from the gravity suit causes her to shoot up to the top of the screen. This time we're just going to run through this room and we're going to try to collect the energy tank. You'll need to morph into a ball, and when you get to this spot, don't roll to the left, instead plant a bomb and bounce up, or you'll fall through a hole in the floor that's directly to the right of the energy tank. And that's how we're going to get out of here, so you'll see what that looks like. So you don't want to roll over there. Instead, bounce up to the top, get the energy tank, and once you have it, make your way over to the right. In this next room, if you roll into a ball, you'll be able to pass through a hidden passage on the right side. This will lead you to a place where we can refill our missile ammo, and we're getting close to the next boss, so if you want to recharge your missiles, now could be a good time. To be fair, you won't really need missiles on the next boss, but if you're low on them, you may want to take this opportunity anyways. These enemies are called ohms, and to get over them, you just want to morph into a ball and just keep bombing and holding to the right until you get over the top of them. Over here, you'll find that missile refill. Attach to it and fill up your missile supply, and then you can just run across to the left to get back out. Take out the Metroids, then switch over to your grappling beam. Use the R button to angle upwards and jump towards the wall. Fire the beam and pull Samus over to the wall, which will put her in a position where she can push off of it, and you'll be able to jump up higher to the ledge where the door is. This large room can be a little bit frustrating to navigate. If you get caught down in the quicksand, you'll need to jump a few times to get out, and you'll want to keep your grappling beam on so you can get over the tall walls. Work your way over to the right side. You don't need to grapple very much here, but you'll want to grab onto this wall, hop over, and then continue across to the right and grab this very last grapple point here. Extend by pressing down, then get Samus swinging by continuously tapping a single direction, like right. And you want to grab onto this grapple point, and you'll be able to launch yourself up and over with that. That part can be tough, but it's not that hard to do. Once you're up here, you'll find a save point, and over here on the right side, we'll find an energy recharge, which we don't actually need it all right now, but if you do need it, make sure to fill up your health before moving on to the boss fight. Directly below this room is a door that you'll need to open up using your super missiles. So clear out the Metroids, open up the door, and in here, you can grapple across these spikes, but those spikes are just an illusion. They're not really there at all. On the right side, you'll find a missile pack, and then if you head back to the spikes on the left, you'll find a hidden passage in the middle of them that leads down to the eye gate. A single super missile or 3 regular missiles will take out the eye gate, and it'll be time to face the boss, Draygon. As soon as you get into the room, you want to take out the 2 turrets on the right side using 3 missiles each or 1 super missile, and there's a single turret over here on the left. Those turrets will shoot at you during the fight, but that's not the only reason why you want to do that. Once the turrets are removed, morph down into a ball, and that will allow you to avoid Draygon's swooping attacks whenever she appears. So just wait down here in ball form until Draygon starts spitting out mucus. Whenever she does that, you're going to allow yourself to get covered in mucus, and then let Draygon grab Samus. Now we're going to switch over to our grapple beam. While Draygon is holding Samus, try to hit one of the turrets on the right or left side with your grapple beam. If you grapple it, make sure to hold the button in, and it will deal damage to both Samus and Draygon, but it will quickly kill the boss. You may need to press L to angle down to hit the turret. I didn't have to that time, but that's something that you may have to do. That's the easy way to defeat Draygon. But if you're good at doing the Shine Spark, you can perform a trick here to give Samus the incredible blue suit. Just like we did before, take out the turrets so that they won't bother you during the fight, but instead of crouching down and morphing into a ball to avoid the swooping attacks, we're going to use this opportunity to attack Draygon by shooting her with super missiles. We're trying to reduce Draygon's health so that we can defeat her with a single shot of our Shine Spark attack, which deals a ton of damage, but we definitely want to make sure that we get her when we do it. So at the beginning of the fight, when she does the mucus attack, use a power bomb to clear out all of the mucus particles, and that'll give you a good opportunity to shoot her with some more of your super missiles. We'll do the same thing here again, and whenever she's very red in the chest, that's when it's time to do the trick. You may wonder how we're going to charge up a Shine Spark in this small space. Well, if you're hit by the mucus, you'll move slower, and that makes it easier to charge up the Shine Spark. So charge it up and then unleash it right into Draygon's face or body, and if you connect and deal enough damage, whenever she's defeated, you'll remain blue. So that's pretty awesome. But the blue suit is not just for looks. We can head over into this room to get the space jump, which actually goes very good with the blue suit. Whenever we have the blue suit on and you're jumping, you'll be able to just kill enemies. You'll be dealing 500 damage whenever you're jumping, and sometimes you can do it when you're just walking as well. Be careful though, when you have the blue suit active, you are always holding a Shine Spark, and if you're not careful, you'll unleash that Shine Spark and then you won't have the blue suit anymore. Also, if you do manage to take damage from an enemy, you'll lose the blue suit as well. So that's a fun trick to try out, and it's also possible to do it in the Crocomire's lair, but it's more difficult to do there. In any case, with Draygon defeated, we'll be able to finally claim the space jump, which is an item that essentially lets Samus fly. Whenever you're doing a spinning jump and you see Samus start to dip down in the air, press the jump button again and she'll bounce back up into the air. If you continue to do this over and over again, you can keep Samus airborne perpetually forever. It may take a bit of practice to get good with the space jump, but once you get the hang of it, it will give you total freedom to explore the world of the game. It does not make Samus invincible, so you'll want to stop somewhere to shoot at these Metroid enemies, and then continue space jumping along. Remember, whenever you see Samus drop in the air, that's when you want to press the jump button. Head down through this passage and you'll go through the door on the left. This door was locked before. There's nothing exciting to find in this room. It's just going to connect us back to the area near where the plasma beam is. And now that Draygon's been defeated, we'll be able to enter that room and pick up that very useful beam upgrade. So that's where we're going to go next. First, we're going to take out some of these cack attacks and try to fill in all of the squares on our map. And then we'll enter this room, which will connect us down below. And you'll recognize this room from earlier. It's the one at the bottom of the very first quicksand pit that we saw. The last time we were in this room, we stayed on the left side, and that's certainly reflected on our map. But this time we want to head over to the right and use your space jump to get up to the top of this area. So just keep space jumping around and fly Samus all the way up to this flashing door. Once again, we're going to use our space jump to climb up here. I like to start on the left side and then cut across to the right in the middle here. Watch out for the Chute and Poyo enemies, and continue space jumping until you find the door. In this room, there's a strange clutch of eggs, and these eggs will certainly illustrate how much more powerful Samus is once we get the plasma beam, which you'll find down here in the lower right corner of this room. The plasma beam replaces the Spazer, although you could switch it back on the menu. You probably won't want to though, because the plasma beam stacked with the ice and wave beams makes Samus deal 300 damage per shot, 900 if you charge it up. You'll need to clear all of the red space pirates in that room before the door will open, and you can see how quickly those eggs are disintegrated when using the plasma beam. In addition to dealing more damage, the plasma beam will make your shots go through enemies. Now you may be thinking, isn't that what the wave beam does? No, the wave beam makes your shots go through walls and other inanimate objects, but anything that you were actually damaging would normally absorb your beams. With the plasma beam, you'll be able to shoot at entire enemy groups, and sometimes you can even score multiple hits on larger enemies with a single shot. So the plasma beam and the space jump are the two most important items you'll find here in Maridia, but there is one more unique upgrade that I do think is worth your time. Head over to this room and use your grappling beam on the block in the middle. After a moment, it will disappear and you'll be able to jump up through. Cling to the right side and keep using your space jump. You want to stay on the right because there's a bunch of those Minu enemies at the top, and they'll attack you as soon as you get up there, so you want to be able to quickly get to the right side. In this room, there's a unique enemy called a Shack Tool. Quickly use a power bomb to clear the wall on the right, and don't place the bomb too close to the Shack Tool because it only has 300 health, so if you get multiple hits with the power bomb, you could kill it. Once the wall is removed, you just want to stay behind the Shack Tool and let it do its thing. It can damage you, so don't get too close. You need to give it time to just clear out all of the dirt on the right. Once it's cleared out the last bit of dirt, you can destroy it, and then head on over to the door. Those snail enemies are called yards, just avoid them for now, and we're going to drop down and head to the left in this room, and we'll need to use a bomb to bounce up here, and one more, but that's the last time we're going to need to use bombs to jump with our ball form, because now we have the spring ball. Once you have the spring ball, when you're in ball form, you can simply press the jump button and jump. So that's pretty convenient. You can certainly get by without the spring ball, but having it will certainly make your life easier. If you're tired of those yard snails, you can clear them with a power bomb, but most of the time I just try to avoid those guys. In this room, you can simply walk over that space on the left and you'll drop down to this door, and that will bring us back to this room where we needed to use the grapple beam. We now have all of the more interesting items here in Maridia, so we just have a few ammo upgrades and a reserve tank left to find. Head through this door on the left side and we're going to cut through this room and this room as well. You can use your space jump in here to quickly get through these rooms with the waterfalls. You don't have to freeze the enemies and use them as platforms anymore. Head over to this room. We've certainly been this way before. We're going to go down through the hidden path in this room and make our way to the left. Instead of freezing the Boyan enemies in this area, you can just use your space jump. So space jump across and we'll need to use a super missile to open up the gate. Once the gate is open, drop down this small tunnel. This door will take us back to the main entrance of Maridia, so from here we're going to hop up to the door, blast our way through, and instead of climbing to the top of this tall vertical room, we're just going to go part way up and then head across to the right. That will take us to the lower area in this large, wide open part of Maridia. And now that we have the space jump, it'll be a little bit easier to get around down here. We can go up through this door, and that will take us to the other part of the large room. Use your space jump to get up to the top, and we're going to morph into a ball and then roll down this wall while holding to the left. You'll find a hidden passage that leads to a super missile pack. I told you we'd be coming back for those. Once you have the super missiles, make your way back out through the small tunnel. And we're going to try to completely fill in the map in this large room. So we'll just use our space jump to bounce around. There's a square over here that we haven't been to. And a couple right here in the middle. And once we get down to the bottom right, that should do it. So this room is now completely filled in, and we'll space jump to the upper right corner where we can go through the door. And in here we're going to bomb through the floor. That's going to take us back to the cold room that is central to Maridia. So head over here, and here's that cold room. Remember, you need to use a power bomb to go down here. So we'll bomb open the floor. If you need to save, you can over on the left. But what we want to do here is bomb down into the lower part where there are two quicksand traps. One on the left and one on the right. We're going to go in the one on the left first. So far, quicksand traps haven't taken us anywhere good, but that's about to change. The ones down here lead to useful items. In this area, you're going to want to shoot up above, then use your spring ball. Spring ball up and to the right. You need to sort of curve your jump around, and you'll be able to easily collect this reserve tank. This one's hard to get without the spring ball. And then we can hop up here and pick up another missile pack. We have quite a bit of ammo now, but there's even more in the quicksand trap on the other side. So you want to drop down through the quicksand here, which will bring us back out to the bottom. We've been in this room with the waterfalls before. Use your space jump to get back to the left, and we're going to try to loop back around so that we can go in the other quicksand trap, but this time I want to show you a trick. Instead of going down through the floor, it is possible to go through this green gate from the wrong side. It only works when the light is on the left side. It won't work if the light is on the right and Samus is on the left. But equip your super missiles, get a running start, hold R to angle up, and you're going to jump towards the door, and when you're right here, launch a super missile, and if you are in the precise position, you can open the gate from the wrong side. This is certainly not a trick that you need to do. You can just as easily work your way around, but it is something fun to try. We've been in this room before, but there's actually a hidden area on the right side that we haven't accessed yet, and that's going to lead to another room where we'll find an energy tank. So go through the wall here, and then use 5 missiles to open up this red door. In this room, you'll see a turtle enemy called a Kame. If you shoot at it, you can ride its shell up into the air. You don't really need to ride the shell because we have the space jump, but there's a missile pack on the right side, and it's much easier to get this missile pack by riding the shell. So make sure the shell is over here on the right, and it will just fly you up to the perfect position to reveal the missiles in the wall, and you can jump over and collect them. Once you're done shell surfing, head back out the same way that you came in, and we want to head back to the cold room so that we can go in that other quicksand trap. That's the last thing that we need to do here in Maridia. There's a couple more map squares down here that we haven't covered, and you can actually go through the wall right there for whatever that's worth. Once you've covered everything up, head up through the door, and we're going to space jump to the upper right corner of this room. That's going to lead us to the purple pipe room, where we'll blow a hole in the floor and make our way to the cold room. So open up the floor here, head on down, and through the door on the right, we'll find that cold room that is central to Maridia. This is the last time we're going to have to come through here. Use one more power bomb to open up the floor, run past those yard snails, bomb open the floor, and this time we're going to go into the right quicksand because we did the left one the previous time. So we'll head down here, watch out for those bowl enemies, and when you get to the bottom, we'll find another treasure room. This one's not quite as good as the other treasure room. It contains a missile pack and a power bombs, but it's still worth visiting. The power bombs are over on the right side. Try to avoid the waterfall when you're jumping, hop up out of the water, and you're going to turn into a ball and just roll off to the right. That's the easiest way to get through there. Just hold to the right and you should roll all the way over to where you can get the bombs. Once you have the power bombs, you can drop down and go down into the quicksand on the right, which will take us towards the exit of Maridia. I tried to figure out a way to use the space jump to go back up the quicksand trap so we wouldn't have to do so much backtracking, but from what I can tell, it's impossible. If you want to get all the items, you just have to make a few loops. As we space jump our way out of Maridia, there is only one of the 4 important bosses left in the game, and he's the one that brought us here. Ridley. Ridley is still at large in the Norfair area, so that's where we need to go next. Make your way to the left through this bouillon room. Try not to get infected by X parasites. Use your super missiles to go through this gate, and conveniently will drop down right near the elevator to Norfair. But don't head down there just yet. There's still one item left in Kraid's hideout that we weren't able to collect before. It's a missile pack that we needed to have power bombs to get. It also will be a lot easier to collect now that we have the spring ball, so head up through this door and watch out for the key hunters on the other side. They should be pretty easy to kill now that we have the plasma beam. Use a power bomb and then spring ball up and roll to the right. If you get to the end of the game and you notice that you're only missing 1 or 2 items, I wouldn't be surprised if that missile pack was one of them. Once you have that missile pack, you can end this little detour and head back to the elevator that leads to Norfair. So we'll go through here, place a bomb, take out any enemies that are in your way. Then we'll head through the door and do a nice big running jump out of Kraid's mouth. We'll need to use a super missile to open the way, and then we'll ride the elevator to Norfair. We've spent a lot of time in Norfair already, so you may wonder how much is left to explore. Well, the answer is quite a bit. Make your way down to the save room, and we're going to cut through there. Now might be a good time to save the game. So we'll take this opportunity to save our progress, and then we'll continue through to the right. Use your speed booster to quickly get through this room, and on the other side, once you get through the door, we're going to drop down into an area that we haven't been to before. So head down here, use a bomb to go through the floor, and over on the left we can use the wave beam to shoot through the gate, which will open it up. There's some gamers and space pirates in here, but feel free to be reckless because we are very close to an energy refill room. So just head through to the right, and if you need any health you can connect to the energy recharge there, and then we'll just continue along through this room where we could use the grapple beam, but we have the space jump, so we'll just use that instead. It'll be a bit faster. Once you get to the other side, open up the door, and you'll see this area where we'll open up a gate and roll into this room where we need to use a power bomb to open the door. When we enter this room, you'll see what appears to be a bunch of teeth in the ground. And over on the left side, that creepy face confirms that this is the entrance to Ridley's lair. The water looks particularly toxic here, but it's actually safe. Just jump right in. With the gravity suit and the space jump, you should easily be able to climb out of the water. However, it can be done without the space jump. Stand on this ledge and pause the game. Right before the scene fades out, press and hold the jump button and unequip the gravity suit. Unpause and continue to hold jump, and if you did it with the right timing, you'll float all the way to the top and will be able to enter the mouth without having the space jump. You will take a little bit of damage for not having the gravity suit on, but that's okay. If you're trying to do a sequence break so that you can fight Ridley early, that's one way you can do it. Unlike all the other elevators we've seen, this one doesn't take us to a different region, it just takes us deeper into Norfair. If you head over to the right, you'll find a room that's filled with yellow space pirates, but we don't actually want to go that way right now. Instead, we want to head across to the left. Unlike the water in front of the entrance to Ridley's lair, the water or lava or acid or whatever it is here definitely can damage you, so try to stay out of it. Your best bet is to just use the space jump to fly across this chamber and then head through the door on the left. We need to get down below the lava here, but you certainly don't want to go swimming in it. Instead, make your way to the other side and use a power bomb to reveal a Chozo statue. Form a ball in its hand, and it will suddenly activate and drain the lava from the pool. Once all of the lava has been drained out, you'll be able to drop down to the bottom and continue your path deeper into Norfair. We'll just stay in ball form because we need to use a few bombs down here, and we'll head through the wall. Watch out for these Holtz enemies as well as the Magdalites, and just continue working your way to the right. When you enter this room, you'll see a missile pack, but it's a trick. The floor in front of you will drop out from below Samus if she jumps on it. Instead, use your space jump to get across. Then we can go down below, where it's time to fight another boss, the Golden Torizo. Charge up your beam and aim upwards so as soon as the fight begins you can shoot the boss and he'll be knocked backwards. Now position Samus on top of his front leg and have her crouch down while holding both shoulder buttons so you can aim upward. Then just keep firing charged shots upwards, and because of the plasma beam, each shot will score multiple hits, and you'll easily defeat this guy. Now, what if I told you that before you fight this boss, it's possible to do a secret code here? Morph into a ball, and as you transition through the door, hold down A, B, X, and Y. You'll suddenly have 100 missiles, 20 super missiles, and 20 power bombs, and all 5 beams will be equipped. You probably want to turn off Spazer, but we'll turn off Wave here so we can experiment with the space-time beam. This code actually hurt us more than it helped us here, but if you can get to this point in the game without collecting very many items, you can actually end up with more items than you're supposed to have. And you can see what happens when you fire the space-time beam without knowing how to properly wield it. To properly use the space-time beam, we should use it somewhere else. Let's talk about that now. This is the room where we found the first energy tank. Get a running start and run into this door, then hold R and turn around to the right. Now we're going to pause the game, unequip Wave, equip Spazer, highlight your high jump boots, and you want to tap left and press A at the same time. If you did it correctly, you'll see Plasma become equipped and it'll say VAR next to it. Then you want to charge up your beam but don't fire it. Instead, switch to missiles and fire a missile. Then jump straight up in the air. You should transition to the left, but automatically transition back to the right, and you'll see that the energy tank is now available to collect again. Using this trick, we can collect a ton of extra energy tanks. I believe that the upper limit is over 300, so as long as you don't go too crazy with it, you shouldn't accidentally crash your game. Some things that you should watch out for though: make sure that you run into the door and turn around using the R button each time. If you get hit by an enemy while you're charging up the space-time beam, whenever you fire the missile and then jump, you may not automatically transition back to the right. You can fire your gun to open the door from that position. That is safe to do. But you do need to be careful that you don't accidentally fire a charged shot of the space-time beam without switching to missiles first. So I skipped ahead a bit here until after I had collected about 20 extra energy tanks, which is good for an additional 2,000 health, which is pretty ridiculous. You won't see all of those tanks on the screen, but the game definitely counts them. Now I'm going to turn off the Spazer so we don't accidentally crash the game. And there's a few things you should know about the space-time beam. Number 1, it does not just reset that energy tank, it reset all of the items in the game and all of the bosses. If you save the game and reset now, you'll actually have to replay the Prologue mission. And you can see all of those energy tanks here on the Samus data screen. Whenever we load up our game, it's going to look like we just started a new game from scratch. You'll see the opening cutscene, you'll be sent back to Ceres Space Colony, but you'll also have most of your equipment. I say most of your equipment because for some reason they take away all of your missiles. So you can collect as many energy tanks, super missiles, or power bombs as you want, but once you load up your save file, you will lose all of the missiles that you previously had. You'll be very happy that they added in that rule about shooting Ridley 100 times, because even if you took off the gravity suit and the Varia suit, it would still take a very long time for Ridley to deal us enough damage to get us to critical health. So just keep shooting him. It doesn't matter how powerful your beam is, 100 hits is what's required here. And then we'll have to do the escape again, and then we'll be able to finally get back to what we were doing before. If you use the space-time beam, you can actually finish the game with higher than 100% item completion. So that's pretty cool. When you get back to Crateria, you'll have the opportunity to do a bit of exploring while the planet is still asleep. Normally, you'd have to go to Brinstar and pick up the first missile pack before the enemies would spawn in this area. And normally, you would need bombs before you could get through this room, and you wouldn't normally have them yet. But we have them now, so we can bomb through this room, and on the other side, you're supposed to find a missile pack here, but you'll see the missile pack isn't there, and instead, the Chozo statue has a camera inside of it. That is very weird. You'll also notice when you fight some of the bosses again, that a few of them are extremely vulnerable to our more advanced beam weapons, like the Spore spawn here, which can be killed in a single shot. We'll just wait for it to open up, and then we'll blast it out of existence. It's really that easy. The space-time beam is fun to experiment with, but it can mess up your game, so I do recommend that you copy your save file before you start messing around with it. There is one more interesting beam weapon that you can use if you have the Wave, Spazer, and Plasma beams equipped. This one's called the Chainsaw Beam, and it doesn't seem to do anything at first. In fact, all it seems to do is open up doors, unless you use a power bomb. For some reason, whenever a power bomb is exploding, this beam can deal damage, and it deals damage very quickly, 150 damage per shot, and it fires quite rapidly. It can also open gates. So the chainsaw beam is more of a novelty than anything, but there could be some places where you could use it. Glitched beams are certainly interesting, but let's get back to our main run. After defeating the boss, head through the door on the right and collect the Screw Attack. The Screw Attack is a classic Metroid item that allows Samus to damage enemies whenever she's doing a spin jump. Back in the room where you fought the Golden Torizo, you can use your Screw Attack to jump through some bricks, and you'll be able to find a Super Missile Pack. But we're not trying to go backwards. We need to press on deeper into Norfair, so once you get the Super Missiles, head back to the room where you found the Screw Attack and go through this door on the right. Inside, you'll find a place where you can refill your energy, so take that opportunity to do so, and then use your Screw Attack to go up through the floor, and you'll be able to enter this door. You'll certainly be happy to have the Screw Attack in this chamber. There are a ton of rippers that fly through here, but the Screw Attack will take care of them nicely. Use a Super Missile on the gate at the end, and head through the door on the right. Pass through another small room, and in here we're going to Screw Attack through a few more walls. The combination of the space jump and the Screw Attack is a very potent one, and it will make exploration a lot easier. The yellow space pirates in this room have 900 health, which sounds like a lot, but the Screw Attack deals 2,000 damage, and that's per frame. It's possible to get multiple hits against enemies that have even more health, although most bosses can't be damaged by it. Place a bomb on the 2 blocks in the middle of this room, then hold to the left and place a bomb on the far left side. Continue to hold to the left and you'll roll into this room where you'll find a hidden missile pack, and for you Disney fans out there, a hidden Mickey. Roll back into a ball and follow this path downwards. It's pretty obvious which blocks you need to break through, and down at the bottom there's a couple disc gigas, so watch out for them and head back across to the left. On the other side of this door, we'll find a room that we've seen from the other side. If you go through this door on the left, that'll take you back to the elevator that brought us down here, but what we want to do instead is use a power bomb to go down through the floor. In this room, we'll use the combination of the space jump and the Screw Attack to go through the walls. So just continue to work your way to the right and go through the door at the end of the hall. That brings us back to this room, and now we've completed the circle. Instead of going up and to the left this time, we're going to go up and take the first door that we see on the right, which is this one right here. So head through into this room. This is a large room that fills up with lava. So this is a fun one if you're trying to complete the map. The best way to get out of this room is to head over to the right side and then space jump back towards the middle. That'll bring you up where you need to be. Now I'm going to be intentionally reckless here because I want to show you a trick called the Crystal Flash. To do the Crystal Flash, you need to have at least 10 missiles, 10 super missiles, and 10 power bombs, so we're good on that. But you also need to have fewer than 51 points of energy, and this takes into account reserve tanks, so you do need to wait until the reserve tanks kick in, which should happen here shortly, and then we'll need to reduce our health down below 51 after we've used those tanks. So the lava and the space pirates will help us drain our health here. And I don't recommend that you actually do this, I just want to show you something that you can do if you ever get very low on health. Place a power bomb and hold down L, R, and the fire button as it explodes. You'll see this animation, you'll lose a lot of ammo, but in exchange, it will completely refill your health. And your reserve tanks too. While we're here in the pause menu, let's take a look at the power bomb combo we can do with the plasma beam. So that's what that looks like. It deals the same amount of damage as the X Factor, but the X Factor can be aimed in such a way that all of the particles hit one thing. So the X Factor is probably the best of the power bomb combos. Jump and fire your weapon downwards here so that you can attack the red key hunters through the ground, and they won't have an opportunity to attack you back. Through this door on the right, you'll find a save room, so now's a good opportunity to save your game, and then we'll head back out through and continue working our way down. At the bottom, you'll want to morph into a ball and use your bombs to blast a new path to the right. Once you get over here, use a power bomb to open up the door and then just drop down through. In this room, use your spring ball to jump across to the left and then place a bomb against the wall to open up a hidden path. Clear out the desk gigas that get in your way. You may want to charge up your beams so that it won't take as many shots to defeat them. And over on the left side, we're going to place a bomb against the wall and we'll find a hidden room that contains some power bombs. It's pretty convenient that we found some power bombs here because we're going to need to use one right over here to open up this path. So use your power bombs, drop down, and then just wait for this spiky platform to move down and then up and out of the way, and use a super missile to open the door at the bottom. These metal space pirates will block your shots. You need to stand on this set of 3 metal boxes that sort of have like an X on them, and you'll see the right pirate turn yellow. When you stand on this set of boxes, the left pirate will turn yellow. Only when the pirates are yellow will you be able to damage them. Charge up some shots or just shoot them, but make sure to stand in those 2 positions and you'll be able to easily defeat those guys. As you pass through these last couple rooms before the boss, you'll be attacked by Zebo flies that constantly spawn out of the lava. These very frequently drop super missiles, and we're going to be using super missiles on the next boss, so you may want to take a moment to farm a few if your supply is very low. Honestly, I'd like to have more than 26 right now, but it will probably be enough. So we'll put 3 regular missiles into the eye gate, and it will reveal the door that leads to Ridley. Start charging up a shot as soon as you get in here, and when Ridley appears, you should be able to hit him with one charged shot, and then you'll have enough time to charge up a second one before he flies away. Ridley is capable of many different attacks, and one thing that he does a lot is fly up into the top part of the screen, so you'll want to do a lot of jumping to try to keep him on the screen, so you can keep shooting him with charged shots from your beam, or even better, a barrage of super missiles. Super missiles deal double damage to Ridley, so they are definitely the weapon of choice here. Whenever he does this pogo attack, if he's facing to the left, you can stand on the far left side of this platform with one of Samus's feet off the edge, aim upwards, and you'll be in a safe spot where you can unload a ton of missiles into Ridley for a lot of damage. At the end of the fight, sometimes Ridley needs to grab Samus before he'll actually explode, so if Ridley is very red and just won't seem to die, you may need to let him grab you. Let's talk about using the murder beam against Ridley. At the beginning of the fight, charge up your beam and then pause the game while still holding the charge. Make sure all of your beams are equipped except for plasma, select your high jump boots, and then press left and A. If you do it correctly, you'll equip all 5 beams at the same time. Now unpause the game and make sure you're still holding the charge. Samus must be facing to the left, and then you can release the murder beam. It doesn't seem to do anything at first, but Ridley will just start taking damage. You actually release an invisible projectile, and for some reason Ridley will pick it up, and whenever he's on the screen, he will take constant damage. Now I always switch over to the super missiles so I don't accidentally fire the murder beam. You definitely don't want to fire it uncharged or while you're facing to the right, because that will crash the game. You can mix in some super missiles if you want to, but the murder beam deals 200 damage every 15 frames, which is about 800 damage a second, so that's going to get the job done quite quickly. It won't be long before Ridley grabs Samus and explodes in the center of the room. You'll want to do yourself a favor and quickly unequip the murder beam once the battle is over. You do not want to fire it by accident. Whether you choose to use the murder beam or a more standard method, pick up any items that Ridley leaves behind, and then head through the door on the left, where we'll see that the baby Metroid has escaped. You can also find an energy tank down here in the lower right, so don't miss that. With Ridley out of the way, we've now cleared all 4 of the main bosses in the game, so now we'll be able to open the path to Torian, where Mother Brain awaits. At this point in the game, if you feel ready for the final battle, you can go there right now. Nothing is holding you back. Of course, we're going to take a few detours and pick up the last few items that we haven't collected yet. But if you want to rush to the end, you'll find the entrance to Tourian in Crateria, near the elevator that leads to the main shaft of Brinstar. Of course, first we have to get out of Ridley's lair. Luckily, we don't have to fight the metal pirates again, and just wait for this platform to drop, and then it will bring you up to this level where you can take a jump up to here, wait for this platform, and then you can shoot up through the floor, place a power bomb, and head up and to the right. We're not going to actually exit Ridley's lair the same way that we came in. You may remember that we took an elevator to get down here, and we're not going to take that same elevator to get out. On the way out of here, we'll be able to find some more items, so that's why we're going to take this alternate path. Place a bomb to destroy this demon face, and then make your way to the left. Blow up a few more rocks, and then we're going to climb up this vertical shaft, but you want to shoot the key hunters from below before you go up to each level. In this door you can find a save room. Might be a good time to save the game since we just defeated Ridley. So we'll do that and then we'll head back out to the left. Continue to climb up this shaft. You can also use the screw attack to defeat the key hunters. Either way, continue working your way to the top. Up here we'll go through this door on the right, and that will bring us to an area that we haven't explored yet. Freeze this creepy face on the right and then morph into a ball and roll up and over it. You can also destroy it using a power bomb. Use your space jump down here and try not to kill the fire fleas so that you'll still be able to see after you collect this energy tank. Once you have it, space jump up and around this rock formation that looks like a creepy hand, and jump back up the way that we came in. We'll use that power bomb this time to take out the Fune face, and head out through this mouth, and continue to work your way to the top. Watch out for the boulders here, freeze any enemies that get in your way, and continue to work your way to the top. Once you get up here, you'll find a door on the right side, but over to the left, there's a hidden path that will bring you over to this room. Watch out for enemies that pop out of the ground and work your way up and around to the right. Over here, you'll find a missile pack, but that's not all. We can use our spring ball and place a bomb at the very top here. That will open up a path, and then you want to just start spring balling to the right. Place bombs if you need them, but you should just be able to keep bouncing to the right, and then you'll need to use one more bomb to get over to where this door is. And when you drop down, you'll find some power bombs over on the right side. You can only get this set of power bombs if you enter this room through the top door. If you entered from the left, you would be stuck behind a wall, and you'll see this loops us back around to this area where we went through the wall the first time. So we'll head back through here, watching out for the enemies that pop out of the ground, and instead of going to the right up here, we'll head through this door on the left. In this room, the acidic water rises and falls at the bottom, so you want to stay out of it when it's rising and wait for it to start dropping before you go through this passage. Use a bomb right here and drop down and through, where we'll find yet another missile pack. Believe it or not, this missile pack was the last item in Norfair. We've actually found everything in this large region. All we can do now is work our way back up and out. So blast through the floor here and head over to the left. This room you can only get through from this side. If you came through from the right, you would reach a dead end. But we can work our way through here, use some bombs to go through the wall, bounce over, bomb this wall as well, and continue to head to the left. We'll just stay in ball form because we can. And this is right near where we found the wave beam. And here's the green bubble room. You should certainly recognize this area. Of course, the fastest way back to the Norfair elevator from here is to place a power bomb near that door and then go through this door on the left. Hop across to the left and go through this door. And then we're going to quickly speed boost through this room. And this will bring us back to the save room, and on the other side we'll find the main shaft of Norfair. And with that, we can leave Norfair behind. This is the last time we'll be visiting it. And we can take a look at our complete map. Norfair was a very large region, and now we'll head back to Brinstar, where we can find a few more items that we haven't picked up yet. Back here in Brinstar, we're going to head to the left and cut through Maridia as we've done many other times. We're not going to be doing anything in Maridia right now, so just cut through and make your way over to the Red Tower. The Red Tower is going to be much easier to climb now that we have the space jump and the screw attack. So just float through this room, watch out for the cack attacks and the yapping maws, and we'll just blast through these screes, and that will take us to the main tower. If you need to refill your health, there's the room down at the lower left, but we're just going to skip it for now and use our space jump to get up to the top. Well, not all the way up to the top, we're just going to the door in the middle right here. So head through to the left, and you'll remember this room. This is the one that you had to run across. We're very fast now, so we can quickly get across those breaking bricks. And in here we have the wave beam, so we can shoot through the gate to open it up. We are definitely a lot more powerful than we were the last time we went through this room. And we're going to continue to work our way to the left, and we'll finally find a new area that we haven't explored yet up here. We'll need a power bomb to get through this door. This room is quite close to where it all began. We are just to the left of where we found the morphing ball at the beginning of the game. If we bomb through this wall, we'll find a power bomb, and then if we use a power bomb over on the right side, we'll open up this entire wall, revealing the pedestal where the morphing ball once was. We're going to skip past the elevator for now and head over to the right. Pass through this small room, and you may recall that in the next room on the right, there was an energy tank in the ceiling that we haven't collected yet. There's a few more enemies in here than there were before, and now that we have the high jump boots, getting this energy tank is quite simple. But that's not the only thing hidden here. If we use a power bomb, we'll open up a shaft here, and we can use our space jump to fly up to the top, where we'll find a hidden room on the left. This is a curious room as well. If you jump up here, you'll find a hidden bridge that will take you over the spikes. At the end, you'll be able to claim a missile pack, but don't leave this room without finding the second missile pack, which is hidden on the left. That's a tricky one. Now that we're 10 missiles richer, we can head back out through the door, cross over the invisible bridge, and make our way back the way that we came. We'll drop down through, and you don't need to use a power bomb this time. You can just roll over to the right and you'll be able to get out. Now we'll head back to that elevator that will take us to Crateria. So we're going to go back through this small connecting room, right past these gamers, and the elevator will be in here. So we'll head over to it and ride it on up. You may be surprised to hear that there are still a few items in Crateria that we haven't picked up yet. Whenever you get to the top of the elevator, make your way through the door on the left, and one of the items that we're missing is in this very room. The last time we came through here, we didn't have bombs yet, so place a bomb right here where Mother Brain's jar used to be, and with a few more bombs, we'll be able to work our way down to a hidden missile pack. How did Mother Brain escape from this place when it all exploded? She was just a brain in a jar, and we hit her with so many missiles. Did she transfer her consciousness into another brain? Or did the Eggplant Wizard and King Hippo carry her out of here? In any case, crouch down on this platform and morph into a ball, and with a bomb you'll be able to find another hidden area. You'll need a power bomb to open up the door, and in this room you'll want to freeze the Boyon enemies, then get a running start and tap down at the end to charge up a Shine Spark. Hold up and press the jump button to launch yourself to the top of the room. Up here we'll find a pack of super missiles. Not bad. In this room you could use the grappling beam to get across the spikes, but we have the space jump now, so we don't need to do that. And we'll just space jump across and go through the door. You can see that you can't go back through the door here at the top, so you did have to enter through the bottom. And then we'll go up here, which will take us back to a very familiar part of Crateria. We want to go back to the large room where Samus's ship is. Now that we have the space jump, we'll finally be able to fully explore that large wide open area. So just run across and go through this door on the right. Way up in the upper right corner of this room, you'll find a door that will lead to a power bomb upgrade. So we're going to use our space jump and fly up to the right. And this ledge is not high enough. You need to go up to this one, all the way up in the upper right corner. So head over here. We'll need to use a power bomb to get through this door. And in this next room, we'll find another area that's filled with acidic water. So if you're good with the space jumps, you can use them to get through quickly. At the end, we'll be able to pick up that power bomb pack, and then we'll just work our way back to the left. You might think that that's it, but the large room that houses Samus's ship hides yet another secret. We're going to get these last few map squares over on the right side, and now would be a very good time to stop at the ship to refill your health and ammo, and also to save the game. So we'll stop here quickly and do all of that. Samus's ship is the best save point in the game, so when you have an opportunity to use it, you should. You can see that we are very close to the maximum amount of ammo for most of our equipment here, but we still need to find a few more things. We want to charge up a shine spark, so dash over to the right and then dash back to the left and press down when you're near the ship. From this spot, hold R and press jump, and you'll diagonally shine spark up to the perfect spot. Now I'm going to get the last few map squares here, and from here you can use your bombs or just use one power bomb to clear out everything, and you'll be able to find this hidden door. The screw attack makes breaking through the rocks in this tunnel very easy to do. You can also break these rocks by using bombs or power bombs, but you'll have to stop, morph into a ball, wait for the bombs to explode. I mean, it does work. You can see that it's possible, but it's way simpler to just get a good spinning jump going and then just use the screw attack to get through to the left. In this room, we'll find a Chozo statue holding another energy tank. There are only 3 more energy tanks for us to find, and if we use a power bomb here, we'll be able to open up a path that will lead to a few more missile packs. So go underneath the Chozo statue and use your screw attack again to go through the walls here. Just like before, you could also use bombs or power bombs, and you can even screw attack through those spikes at the end. They're just there to trick you. When you get into this room, clear out the bricks in front of you, morph into a ball, and try to bounce right into the middle of these bricks. You want to clear the set on the left and the right in the middle of this room, so you can open the way to get both missile packs. If you drop down in the center, you should be able to do it. So collect the one on the left, and then we'll get the one on the right. If you mess it up, you'll only be able to get one of the missile packs, and you'll have to loop back around through to get the other one. Those 2 missile packs were the last 2 items in Crateria, so all of the remaining items are in Brinstar. It's very easy to get through these green space pirates now. Heading to the right through that red missile door will take you to Tourian and the end of the game, but there's still a few more things that we want to find, so instead we're going to head down this elevator on the left. Remember back at the beginning of the video when I showed you how to do the Mockball? Well, if you didn't do the Mockball back then, there's a bunch of items that are still left in that room, so that's where we're going to go first. We don't need to do the Mockball this time because we have the speed booster and we can easily run under the closing gates. Through this door on the right, we'll find the last reserve tank. Just like many other items in this game, the reserve tank isn't the only thing here. If you morph into a ball and roll through this silver pipe at the bottom, you'll find a hidden missile pack, and if you bomb behind those missiles, you'll find another hidden missile pack. Nice! And then, if you bomb behind this missile pack, yeah, there's nothing else behind there. We're just going to go back through the door on the left, but there is a set of super missiles up above. So blast through the ceiling and work your way through all of the enemies here. The space jump with the screw attack is good for that. And we'll find a pack of super missiles. Once you've collected these super missiles, if you jump up onto the pedestal that they were sitting on, you'll fall through and find an easy exit out of the room. If you've been looking at the map, you may have noticed that there's a path marked C at the bottom of the main shaft, and you can only open it up by using a power bomb. Once you do, you'll find a new area to explore, so drop down to the bottom and head through the door on the left. Freeze the B-toms in this room or use your screw attack to remove them, and head through this door on the left. Don't go too fast here. There's a hidden pit in front of the energy tank, a common Metroid trick. Use your space jump to get over it, and then once you get to the other side, we're going to use a super missile to open the green door on the left. Back here, we'll be able to find a super missile pack. There's one more item to pick up in this area, and it's the reason that we didn't come here earlier. It's possible to get this item earlier in the game, but you'll need to be very good at wall jumps, which can be quite frustrating. It's also difficult to get without the spring ball, so without having the space jump or the spring ball, getting this last set of power bombs is quite an ordeal. In this narrow hallway, use your screw attack to take out the B-tom enemies that would normally try to cling to Samus and drain her health. The screw attack makes them much easier to deal with. In this room, we'll meet some friendly animals called Etacoons. The Etacoons will try to teach Samus how to do the wall jump, and we'll try to jump along with this last one. If you have the space jump, you don't need the wall jump here, and if you're trying to complete the entire map, make sure to go through this tunnel, which is a secret exit in case you're unable to do the wall jump. We'll try to do it the normal way, so you would have to do about 3 wall jumps to get out of there at the end, and then you would have to jump over and morph into a ball in mid-air if you didn't have the spring ball. So all of that is quite difficult. If you mess up the spring ball part at the end, you would fall down the shaft and you'd have to do the wall jumps again. At this point, we can just use the space jump, which makes it all too easy. So that's everything in this small area, but it's pretty obvious that we're still missing 2 energy tanks, and we're also missing 1 more set of power bombs. So we're going to head up here and go through the door on the right. If you use your speed booster in this room, you can break through the wall on the right without using your bombs, but you'll probably end up falling down this long shaft. At the bottom here, you won't find any items. Instead, you'll just find an energy recharge station. So I guess that could be helpful, but we were hoping for something better. Outside, you'll see an ostrich-like bird monster called a Dachola. The Dachola is friendly, and it will try to teach you how to do the Shine Spark. Use the Shine Spark to get up out of the shaft, and then make your way over to the right. It was awfully nice of those animals to help us out. I wonder if there will be a way to repay their kindness later. Use a power bomb here to open up this door, and we'll enter another unexplored area. Your screw attack will make short work of the side hoppers here, and you do need to clear them out to open up the doors. Use your space jump and open the gate, and then head down to the right side, where we'll find a small room that contains the next to last energy tank. This energy tank was the 97th item. 3 more to go. Head back out into this room. You could space jump over the wall, but if you shoot down here, a post will rise up out of the ground, and you can use that to get up over the wall more easily. Hop up and break through the gate, then come down, take out any remaining enemies, the door will open, and we'll go through to the left. The last energy tank is hidden underneath where we found the charge beam. To get it, you need a lot of advanced items, and previously we didn't even have the power bombs that you need to open up this silver pipe. Roll on through this tunnel and drop down to the left where we'll use 5 missiles to open up a red door. And in this room, we need to have the speed booster and the gravity suit so that we can run in the water. And when we get to the wall, we're just gonna bust on through like Kool-Aid Man. And that will bring us to the final energy tank. Oh yeah! If you have all 14 energy tanks and all 4 reserve tanks, with full health, Samus will have about 1900 energy, which will make her very hard to kill, especially with the gravity suit and the Varia suit on. The final 2 items are located right here in this general area. So we'll bomb through these blocks, or you could shoot through them, and then we're going to climb up this room on the right side. So we'll cross over to the right side, and just climb up past the door, and just keep hopping until you get to this area, where you could use your grappling beam, but we'll just use the space jump to get over to the final missile pack, bringing our total missiles to 230. Then you need to use a power bomb, and you can go through the wall here, and in this room we're going to find the final item. It's a power bomb upgrade, but you'll need to use a super missile right here in this strange divot in the floor. Drop down through, and that's it. The 100th item. We've now found everything. With the final item in our possession, there's only one thing left to do. It's time to make our way to Torian, where there's a brain in a jar that's about to get pickled. The fastest way to get to Torian from here is to take the elevator at the main shaft of Brinstar. So to get back there, we're going to go up and over where we found the last missile pack, and through this door on the left. If you try to dash through this room, you'll probably fall through the floor, so instead we're just going to use a power bomb to get through this wall. Although if you're being extremely conservative and you want to save your power bombs, you could just use normal bombs to get through there. It'll just be a little bit slower. And here we are at the main shaft. Take one last look at Brinstar, and then say goodbye. We're not going to be coming back here. Once we get up to the elevator, we can take a look at our map. We have filled in all of the spaces in this very large region, but now it's time to move on. So we'll hop up onto the elevator and make our way back to Crateria. Once we get to the top of the elevator, Tourian is just a hop, skip, and a jump away from here. So we're going to go through the door on the right side, run across this chamber, or you can jump across it using your space jump, do whatever you want to do here. And then we're going to use 5 missiles to open up this red door, and there are no enemies in this misty hallway. Beyond this door is the Golden Statue Room. Here the game will check to see if you've defeated the 4 main bosses, Kraid, Phantoon, Draygon, and Ridley. Each of the bosses will have its eye extinguished, and its part of the statue will turn gray. It doesn't matter which order you actually defeated the 4 bosses in, this animation will always play out in the same order. And if you defeated all 4 bosses, an earthquake will occur, and the statue will sink down into the water. Once the statue completely submerges, the stones beneath Samus's feet will give way, and she'll fall down to an underwater area where we'll find the elevator that will take us to Tourian. Before we head out, we'll take one last look at the map of Crateria, but unlike the other regions that we left behind, we will be coming back here eventually. And with that, we'll make our way to Tourian. This is it. The final battle awaits. As we enter Tourian, if you head down on the right side, you'll find a save room. It's okay to save your game now. You can still turn back if you want to. Later on, when we get deeper into Tourian, there will be a point of no return, but I will warn you when we get to that part. Once you've saved your progress, make your way through the door on the left, and in this hallway, that is not a Mocktroid. That is a real deal Metroid, and you do need to kill all of them to get out of this room. To defeat a Metroid, freeze it with your ice beam, and then hit it with 5 missiles. If you do get grabbed by a Metroid, switch to your power bombs. It'll take 3 power bombs to kill the Metroid, but it won't be able to damage you while the power bomb is exploding. You can try to shake it off using your normal bombs, but that's difficult to do. I recommend using the power bombs and try not to get grabbed in the first place. Try to freeze these Metroids from above and then get below them and shoot them with the missiles while they're frozen. Pick up any item drops that they leave behind and make your way through the door. It is worth noting that if you defeat a Metroid using a power bomb, it will only have 1 item drop, while when you defeat them with missiles, there are 6 item drops. So it's way better to fight them with the missiles, but if you get grabbed, you get grabbed. You gotta get out. Continue to work your way slowly across each room that has Metroids in it. You want to fight them one at a time when possible. In these vertical shafts, try to freeze them from above and then go down below. That won't give them any chance to grab you. Even if you took a real beating from the Metroids, it's not that big of a deal because there will be an energy recharge station before we fight the final boss. And once you get to this room, that's it for the Metroids. We won't have to fight any more of them. In this small room, we see the desiccated remains of a monstrous golden Torizo. It turns to dust as we walk by it, as does this Ripper. What's going on in here? Well, we're about to find out. You can try to blast this side hopper, but out of nowhere, the baby Metroid appears. And it's, I guess, a little bit bigger than the last time we saw it. You can try to run, but the baby will grab Samus and drain her down to her final point of health. You can try to escape, but once the baby Metroid has you in its grip, it won't let go. Well, until it suddenly does. Just before dealing the killing blow, it seems to recognize Samus. Perhaps because Samus was present when the baby hatched, it imprinted on her and sees Samus as its mother. Of course, we were present for the hatching of a bunch of other Metroids, and none of those thought Samus was its mother, so I guess this one's just weird. In any case, head down to the bottom of this shaft, and on the left side you'll find an energy recharge station, which will bring your health back up to full. You'll also find a missile recharge station if you need it. Before we move on, it is possible, although very difficult, to avoid being grabbed by the baby Metroid. Here's what it looks like in full speed, and then I'll show it in slow motion. It involves doing some very precise jumps, and then you need to get to the door and roll into a ball to escape. So that's what it looks like. Here's the best way to do it. Shoot at the side hopper, and as soon as you see the Metroid's mouth completely open right there, that's when you want to start your run to the left do a running jump, and in the air you want to shoot your gun so that you clear out those enemies that are on top of the screen. That'll add a little bit of lag and make it easier to do the next moves. To escape the baby Metroid, you want to try to jump over it right when you see its teeth touch the ground. So that's when you want to jump, and you need to be running to the right after you land and trying to gain ground by jumping farther to the left than you ran back to the right each time. You also need to clear out the debris on the left side. This is all extremely difficult to do and will take a lot of practice, but it is possible if you try hard enough. And at the end, I added a little space jump there, which was a mistake, and the baby did grab Samus right before I went through the door, which actually has caused her to have weird physics now. So now we're moving in like slow motion. So if you're trying to save time by doing this, you need to be able to do it correctly. Avoiding the baby Metroid is very difficult and ultimately doesn't save a ton of time, so unless you're attempting a world record, it's probably not worth it. However, there is another trick that you can use that will save you some time that is a bit easier to do, and I'm going to show that next. Before we move on, once you go through this eye gate, there's going to be a save room. If you save the game at this point, you're not going to be able to go back. The only way I know of that you can go back is by doing some very glitchy stuff with the space-time beam, and I don't really recommend that. So if you want to save here, just understand that you won't be returning to the rest of the game. In this room, we're supposed to blast through these red gates called Zebetites, but if you turn off your screw attack, it's possible to do a trick where you won't have to fight any of them at all. We'll take a look at it in fast motion first, and then I'll break it down, but here's what it looks like. If you can go through that Zebetite, the rest of them won't spawn. Pretty awesome. So here it is in slow motion. Come down here, angle up, and you want to freeze this round Rinka enemy as soon as it spawns. So just shoot it one time to freeze it. Then you need to jump up here, and you need to take damage from something. And while you're invincible, do a small spin jump to the right, but pull it back to the left so that Samus lands on the frozen Rinka. If she's standing on that frozen Rinka, you'll be able to hop up and go through that first Zebetite. And if you can go through the first one, the game won't load in the other ones. So there's supposed to be more Zebetites here, but it only loads them one at a time, so you don't have to fight any of them. And here's Mother Brain. Use 6 normal missiles to break open the jar, and then stand in this spot, switch over to super missiles, angle up, and try to fire 12 of them into the brain itself. Once you do, the whole thing will explode, but it's not over yet. Now it's time to face Mother Brain's true form. Charge up your beam and get ready. Attached to the main brain, a strange dinosaur body will emerge from the ground, because that's totally how science works. To fight Mother Brain, your best bet is to charge up your beam, and you want to keep jumping and shooting at it. You could try to angle up from below, but if you're jumping and shooting, it won't do this bomb attack, and that's the most annoying one to avoid. When it drops that bomb, you want to wait until it stops rolling, and then you can jump to avoid it, although you'll occasionally take a hit in mid-air if you do that. When Mother Brain starts shooting the red fireballs, you'll know that she's almost dead. And when she charges up the rainbow beam, you may even want to take some intentional damage to save yourself some time. She'll need to damage you more before the baby Metroid will step in and try to save you. Believe it or not, when you get to this part of the battle, you've essentially won. Mother Brain does have another form, but it's very easy to defeat. At this point, we'll just take our punishment, and when Mother Brain goes to charge up the rainbow beam again, the baby Metroid appears and latches on. At first it seems like Mother Brain may be able to resist the baby Metroid's energy draining powers, but after a few moments, she'll turn blue and start to slow down. As her mouth opens and slime drips from her teeth, she curls up in the fetal position and succumbs to the Metroid. As if to make up for the mistake it made earlier, the Metroid not only drains Mother Brain, but it gives her power to Samus, refilling her health and giving you the Hyper Beam, the game's most powerful weapon. The Hyper Beam deals 1,000 damage per shot and doesn't even need to be charged up. Unfortunately, as the baby Metroid restores Samus's health, the Mother Brain gets her second wind. The Metroid shields Samus from her attacks, but in the end, Mother Brain prevails, and the final Metroid is eradicated. Oh, you'll pay for that, Mother Brain. Once Samus is able to move again, aim upwards and blast Mother Brain in the face with as many hyper beams as it takes to put her down. It's actually kinda easy to finish the battle from this point, but just be relentless. Don't give her a chance to shoot back. At 1,000 damage per shot, it won't be long until Mother Brain turns red and then finally takes her final breath. As her dinosaur body explodes, only the brain remains, which then fades to gray and disintegrates. Is this the real end of Mother Brain? Only time will tell. But before we escape the planet, let's take a look at an alternate strategy for fighting her. If you don't do the Zebetite skip, you'll need to clear all of the Zebetites in this room. Whenever you're fighting the larger ones, angle your missiles upward, and the smaller ones you can fight at the bottom by angling down. Use your missiles and try to conserve your health for the fight ahead. When you get to the jar, this time we're just going to use regular missiles so that we can try to conserve our super missiles for later. So just open the glass with 6 missiles and make sure that you clear out the entire jar in addition to shooting the brain. It'll take more shots to kill the brain using regular missiles, but it doesn't really take that much longer. Remember when we fought Ridley, we used a glitch called the Murder Beam to easily defeat him, and you can do the same thing against Mother Brain. As the battle begins, you're going to charge up your beam, and we're going to pause the game while still holding the charge. Make sure all of your beams are equipped except for plasma, highlight the high jump boots, and press left and A at the same time. If you did it correctly, all 5 beams will be active and you'll see VAR next to plasma. Unpause the game while still holding the charge, aim upward, and you want to place the murder beam in that general spot. If you hit Mother Brain just right, her head will be constantly affected by the murder beam, and she'll take about 800 damage per second. The murder beam essentially affects a portion of the screen wherever you place it, and whenever Mother Brain's head is close enough to the affected part of the screen, she'll take damage. So you want to place it in a good spot, and if you did it right, she will be easily defeated. If she's not taking any damage, you can switch over to your super missiles and finish her off that way. Remember, only fire the murder beam when it is fully charged and you are facing to the left, or you will crash the game. After you deploy the murder beam, I highly recommend either switching over to missiles or just turning it off from the pause menu so that you don't accidentally crash the game. Something that's interesting about the murder beam is that Mother Brain will still take damage during this cutscene when the baby Metroid attacks her. This will cause the game to get a little bit glitchy, and you will definitely notice some weird stuff happening during this cutscene. It should not look like this. Where did Samus go? Oh, there she is. don't worry, the game won't be messed up by this. Once the cutscene finishes, things will get back to normal, but yeah, this is pretty weird stuff. I don't believe that the damage being dealt at this time is actually relevant to the battle. Until Mother Brain collapses into the fetal position and wakes back up, all damage being dealt to her is just extra credit. So we'll let her fade down, and then the Metroid will come over to heal Samus. But once Mother Brain wakes up and she starts taking damage from the murder beam again, that damage does count. So she'll start taking damage, and whenever we have to hyper beam her, we won't have to hit her with as many shots, so she's taking damage right now. She's trying to go for the Metroid, not taking damage right now, although things are kind of glitchy. So I guess she's damaging the Metroid? I don't know, her leg seems to be phasing in and out of reality. So I don't know what that's all about. But once we get full health, well, this should end pretty soon. So she'll back up, now taking damage from the murder beam again, so that's going to make our job a little bit easier. And I guess that was the end of the final Metroid. It's a little bit of an explosion there. Maybe we can see some of the Metroid. But now we have the Hyper Beam, and we can use it to win the fight. So things are still like a tiny bit glitchy, but you should be able to handle this, and once we get to the escape, everything will be all good. So just blast Mother Brain to oblivion here, and you'll see she should turn red pretty quickly since we've already dealt some damage, and she will be taking murder beam damage during this phase as well, so it's still hitting her, and that's it. One last thing before we move on. It's possible to actually stand up during this final cutscene. The normal way to do it is to try to get to about 700 health before you get hit by the first murder beam. If you're right at that point, you can just press up when you're crouched down there, and you'll be able to move again. Now, if you do get forced back into the crouching position, if you're jumping when she shoots this murder beam, you won't get forced down, but you can just switch over to the X-ray scope and press the dash button, and that will release Samus, and now you can move around again. So why would you want to do that? Well, we'll be able to damage Mother Brain as soon as she wakes up after being damaged by the baby Metroid, and we'll be able to do some early damage to her, sort of like we were doing with the murder beam. The baby is still going to grab Samus to refill her health, but that's totally okay. If you charge up your shots and get close enough to Mother Brain's face, we can still shoot her through the Metroid. And we'll be protected because the Metroid is shielding us. So just jump right up into Mother Brain and let her have it with your charge beam. And these are going to be the final plasma shots that you do, because as soon as she finishes off the Metroid, we'll have the Hyper Beam. But this is going to give us a head start on the final phase of the battle. So if you want to save a little bit of time, keep shooting Mother Brain here. Even as the Metroid is exploding and everything is glitching out a bit, we could still shoot at Mother Brain. And right about now, we switch over to the Hyper Beam suddenly. So fire those Hyper Beam shots, and because we got a head start on this battle, Mother Brain will turn red very quickly this time. And that's it. She's defeated. Of course, we all know that this is not the end of the game, because it wouldn't be Metroid if we didn't have to evacuate the exploding planet. Blast through these gates and make your way to the door. You only get 3 minutes to escape, and if you run out of time, it will be game over, so this is definitely serious. In this room, you can totally get lost. The way that you need to go is straight across where you see that first pirate. You can run through a few there, and then head back to the left, where you'll find an opening that you can jump up through, and then make your way to a door over on the right. In this room, don't drop down, you need to go up. So work your way to the top, Watching out for the space pirates, you can deal with them using your screw attack. And when you get to the top, you're going to run across to the right, drop down, and head back to the left. Drop all the way down to the bottom, and there's a bunch of small platforms that you need to navigate over here on the right. I am trying to fill in the entire map, so I'm trying to hit all of the squares in this room, but if you're just trying to escape, you just want to get to the top of this area, and you'll find a door over on the right side. So head over here and cut across to the right, and there's the door. This takes us back to Crateria, and back to an area that we've seen before. Everything is flashing and exploding now, but you can't panic. Carefully jump up on these small platforms and make your way to the door at the top of this shaft. Don't panic, we still have a good bit of time. If you didn't waste a lot of time in those previous 2 rooms, it's okay if you burn a few seconds here. Once you get to this spot, we're almost home free. Carefully jump up out, and when you get to the top and head over to the right, you'll have a choice to make. Do you remember the Dachola and the Eticoons that helped us earlier? Well, if you head down here to where we found the bombs, we'll have the opportunity to save the animals. This is going to give us a slight change to the ending, but you just need to blast the wall open on the right side, and those animals will be able to get out. It takes a few seconds to do this, so don't free the animals if you're running out of time, but if you're feeling confident, you'll feel better about yourself if you do this. Head to the top, morph into a ball, and head to the right. This is where the ship is, and that's where we need to go. Do a running jump and try to land right on the ship, and make sure that Samus actually gets inside. The timer will not stop until Samus is on the ship, although the actual game timer doesn't stop until it fades out. And that's it. We've done it. We've beaten Super Metroid. All we can do now is sit back, relax, and enjoy the cheesy ending. As the planet explodes and the screen turns to white, after the explosion, look on the right side. There will be a small shooting star or comet-like object that flies out from the explosion. That's the animals escaping. You'll only see that tiny dot if you freed them. And with that, the operation was completed successfully. Clear time, 2 hours and 4 minutes. Not bad. Roll the credits. To get what's considered the best ending, you need to finish with a time under 3 hours. So if you follow along with this guide, you have almost an hour to spare. Try to avoid any unnecessary backtracking, and I feel confident that you'll be able to get the best ending. Now you may have noticed that this video is over 3 hours long, so how did we get a time of only about 2 hours? Well, the game clock is not always running. So you probably won't be surprised to find out that the timer is not running during the cutscene at the beginning of the game, and it's also not running when you pause the game, so it's okay to pause the game and take a break. Of course, pausing the game and the cutscenes at the beginning don't account for the discrepancy in the time. So the timer also stops whenever you're in a door transition, and it also stops whenever there's a message on the screen, like whenever you collect an item and it plays that little fanfare. Through all the door transitions and 100 items that we picked up, that time definitely adds up across the course of the game. The timer is running when Samus is on an elevator, or when she's landing or taking off in her ship. There's not a whole lot you can do about that other than trying to avoid unnecessary elevators. If you want to check your time, you can always save your game, and when you reset, you'll see your time on the file select screen. People often talk about this game's legacy and how it defined the Metroidvania genre. But it didn't just create the blueprint and set the mold for future games. This game is excellent itself and still holds up today. This game isn't that difficult to beat, but true mastery of it takes quite a bit of practice. As the last few credits scroll across the screen, we'll be able to see the ending that is a result of our good time. So we'll see Samus, she turns blue, and then we'll see her without the suit, in traditional Metroid fashion. So this is the ending that you get for having the fastest time, but there are 2 other endings besides this one. After you see that scene, you'll also get your item completion percentage, which is a little bit confusing. If you didn't know the ending was related to your time, you may think that it was related to your item collection percentage because they display it right afterwards. But of course we know that your item collection percentage has no bearing on the ending at all, and the only thing that matters is your time. So let's take a look at the other endings. If you finish with a time between 3 and 10 hours, you'll get this next ending, which I would expect is the most common one that people see on their first playthrough. This ending is ultimately not that different from the other one. Just like before, Samus turns blue, and then this time, only her visor is removed so you can see her face. She gives us the thumbs up, and just like in the previous ending, does a jump backwards and fires a beam towards the screen. At this point, we'll see our item collection percentage. So you can see we got 100% item collection, so item percentage doesn't matter at all. The only thing that matters for the ending is time. If it took you over 10 hours to complete the game, there's one more ending that you can see. Of course, if you got the best ending first, you can always save the game near Mother Brain and just wait around in that save room for a few hours and fight the final battle to see the other 2 endings. In this final ending, none of Samus's suit is removed, so we just see her in the normal suit and she gives us the thumbs up. And that's it. That's the last ending of Super Metroid. Well, I hope this video was able to help you finally beat Super Metroid and put a stop to Mother Brain's diabolical plan for Metroid terrorism. If it did, make sure to give it a like, and please subscribe for more videos. Because there will always be more space pirates that threaten to wipe out the galaxy, and that's why we'll be back again next week with another video game you can beat. Thanks for watching.